Welcome everybody to Call of Duty Challengers Elite. It's the final day of European Elite here for season number 3, and we're bringing you all the action here from a couple of additional matches. My name's Infinity, joined by Proper on the mic as always. Andy, mate, we're jumping straight into the swing of things here. We have Ultra Academy EU going up against Selaio signed Ultra. They win this match. The bottom line is they qualify for playoffs.
Yep, it's Selaio Signs coming on in. The Frenchman looking to play a little bit of an upset factor, making sure that Ultra Academy EU's destiny is a little bit further out of their control. Here on the Berlin Hardpoint, it's not too bad of a start there for the French, as they are able to at least win the opening engagements. But the next thing that comes to task is being able to win those rotations, which they are actually enforcing numbers. They just did not read that vortex, at least in the small room, and that'll at least flip out the spawns, given that Selaio Signs were trying to get B-lane control.
Stevo trying to hold on towards his hard point, well, with the assistance of Gizmo, of course, that new addition to the roster for Season 3. We'll pick up a couple of kills there. Looking for number 3, we'll find it is Gizmo. So hold on towards this hard point for now, as Selaio Stein's going to have to start to put together a push in from behind. Deliver will be the player to at least start to put that push together around the back line. Of course, now does have the assistance of Nadox towards Broken side, but here comes Deliver. He's going to sit inside, wait for the rest of the team to come and assist, but he can only get one of those players. It's going to have to be one by one for Selaio Signs, and actually, inside the hard point, Depper wins 2 crucial one-on-ones. Cobra with another one from Broken, and now they're broken in.
Yeah, we'll be able to break on in, and now you can enforce a little bit of a spawn trap situation. This is very scary for Ultra EU, that they have to battle not only through P2, but also think about the rotation going over towards 3. And the setup for Selaio Signs is really good. I mean, Cobra from up top on the balcony is able to find the last player of Beans. Of course, will be traded on out, but this is going to continuously enforce the rest of Ultra Academy EU to do different things. You already saw that Beans off screen was able to find one that's going through the train station. Now that they know that they have numbers to try to fly in through the fire side of things, but it doesn't exactly mean that they know exactly where all these Frenchmen are located at.
Yeah, they're still trying to hunt for them as Furious and Vortex making their way through the front of the hard point. Of course, those players from Selaio Signs will continue to spawn in the back line here. And there you go, we can finally see it. The changing of the spawns has now come through. How quickly do Ultra recognize it? I think Gizmo had an idea that there's still one player around the back line. Furious through the mid-map, though, deals with both Cobra and Nadox, and now, of course, the stun thrown over towards the patio side as well. The knowledge for Ultra Academy EU, the call-outs are there. They know exactly where those players are coming from. So, not a bad hard point here to try and even things up versus Selaio Signs, but now you have to imagine this French roster will start to focus on the rotations, but look at these rotational battles currently being won by Ultra, and look at the spawns for Selaio Signs as well.
Yeah, still spawning in over by 3 for Selaio Signs, but Deliver has already made the heads-up play, trying to be that route man to just play coin towards the back. Now, it's being conveyed, I'm sure, that the rest of their teammates are still spawning in over by 3, so now Deliver needs to become activated. Furious, are you going to turn around? I mean, surely that the last player to drop for Ultra EU has communicated that Deliver is back there, but has bought more than enough time for the rotation to come through for the rest of their teammates, but the numbers are not good enough. You'll have to see if Selaio Signs can at least try to play in towards effect. They have keeping things rather mixy through the opening few seconds here on P4. They have not fully flipped the spawns.
Yeah, Selaio Signs here in control of Train Yard for the moment. Vortex wants to come and disrupt the day for the Selaio Signs roster, but Depper going to win that one crucial engagement there versus Vortex, and that's another one there for Depper in a row. So Selaio Signs continue to hold on towards this hard point, and Ultra really do not want to give this time away if they can do anything about this. So still attempting to push through the Train Yard here are this squad. Depper was on 5 in a row, will get shut down in an important gunfight as Gizmo picks up 2. Even a few seconds like this will be helpful here for Ultra Academy EU. That might well matter in the long run, because right now they are down versus the Selaio Signs roster, and Andy, to be honest, this is actually a massive map in the series overall.
Yeah, it really is, right, for the hard points, especially for Ultra Academy EU to be able to continue to boast their improvements from week number 1 downfall of losing a lot of hard points, specifically versus that mistaken esports roster. But they are on the favorite side of the map. But again, you already have players off screen like Deliver that has already slipped the net continuously and just trying to keep things mixing towards the back. That's going to allow Selaio Signs to try to encroach on forward through the middle of the map with the trades, the kills, just simply not all going their way until Cobra finds one up top. In top third, Beans thought they could get the trade. Deppa comes in for at least that kill as well. Selaio Signs stabilized for now.
Continuing to be an annoyance here to this Ultra Academy side, but Furious having none of it. He picks up a couple of gunfights. Nadox is in with a trade, but it will be Ultra Academy EU that have the final say in the hard point. So the last 15 seconds should go their way, and fortunately for them as well, they're on the right side of the map here, as Selaio Signs will have to run all the way through the train platform, through the train station itself, to make their way over towards the office hard point. Vortex trying to watch over that cross. They sees both Deliver and I believe it's Nadox starting to push through. Gizmo, what can he do about this as his teammates have fallen and around him. And actually, to be fair, for what the initial 10 seconds or so, Selaio Signs, they've blasted their way back in towards P1.
Yeah, now they can hold this. This almost looks like a B-zone capture point when you're thinking about it for Berlin Control, right? They get in the backside of Office. Look at all these different nerdy angles that are being held by Cobra, especially. Just going to be watching these players throw shoulders out from the lobby side. Just a lot of blind trust. The player in the middle of the map will at least be able to read the flank that's coming from behind. That's Furious. And Deliver, not going to turn around initially. It's going to be Depa that gets that trade on a Furious, but the damage you would consider to be done as Steve-O's now in towards the back, is able to find the last 2 kills. That'll be the break for a very crucial 20 seconds that needs to be fought for.
Beans. Fighting for this last 20 seconds, as you say. He does have the support of Gizmo inside. Deliver the last remaining player to take down. You've got to imagine that Gizmo will win that gunfight, and they will. But if you're talking about the rotation now, once again, one player from Ultra Academy U that is over here, waiting patiently for the rest of the team. Furious will need to put a little bit of effort in to hold on towards his hardpoint. He wins that first engagement. Vortex with another one as well. But the hardpoint not quite secured yet. You can see Depa trying to transition all the way through towards the dock side. Now the rest of the Selaio Signs roster starting to come in towards the back line as well. But the trades, they might well be few. Furious still over here trying to cause some havoc. There's the first kill. Can he get Cobra as well? Surely the supporting gunfights will come through. But Furious still refusing to die at the moment. He's doing so much damage to Selaio Signs. Finally, he will fall. And now it is Deliver. Next up to bat for the Selaio Signs roster. He cannot hold on. But this game so far, Andy, it is so close between these two teams.
It is, just within about 15 seconds or so. Still trying to scrap over these 20 seconds here on P2. Selaio Signs do have numbers, and that's mostly because Beans is playing that anchor role to make sure that the spawns in 3 still remain intact. But Selaio Signs, they're trying to win the war on 2 different fronts, trying to battle for the scrap time. Furious to the pistol gets the better of Deliver, breaks their camera in kind. And this is all while they're leaving the blind trust for Joey, Gizmo, to be able to win the gunfights inside of 2, which they're able to do. Beans is here to be able to reinforce these exit kills as well. And the rotation has been secured for Ultra Academy, who now just trail by 19 points.
Oh, nice kills coming in from Beans here for the rotational battles. Just keeping Selaio Signs at bay for the first couple of kills, of course. Ultra, I was going to say, should spawn in close, but they actually will not here. Selaio Signs now starting to approach, and it's 2 versus 4 on the hard point, at least momentarily, as the remaining of the Ultra Academy roster tries to make their way across the middle of the map, but it's going to be Ultra here winning out on the majority of gunfights. Now it is just Deliver inside. He's only able to win one before a nicely put nade from Beans will take him down. So Ultra, they withstand the pressure that Selaio Signs are bringing to the table here as they look to take the lead, but Cobra picks up 2 from the patio side. It doesn't matter. Ultra will always have a player there, and now they will get that scrap time as well. In the lead now are Ultra Academy U, and they're relying on the heroics of just this one player here on the rotation to do some damage to Selaio Signs.
Vortex just needs to hold. Maybe you find a good pick, but they have an MP40, so you know they're not going to be taking these long-range battles. It's mostly just trying to set up their ARs to be able to find these longer-range engagements for Vortex to continue to slip the net. Gets in from behind, finds Nadox. The break is in. The spawns have been flipped.
And that might well be the crucial moment here in this game for Ultra Academy U. Vortex's play effectively flips the entirety of the spawns. Ultra Academy U, they're in control of the hard point. Selaio Signs now got to make your way along the train platform, but every single gunfight is going Ultra's way. Gizmo with 4 in a row for the new addition here to this Ultra Academy U lineup in season number 3. And Ultra now starting to walk away with this game, a 50-point margin and growing. And for Selaio Signs here, you need to make sure you hold on towards the broken area. You need to make sure you continue to push through the train platform. This is not time that you can give away. You can see Deliver and Cobra starting to apply this pressure, but even still, Ultra, they're not giving up on this one. They continue to hold.
Oh, and it's also being communicated that the spawns are going to be flipping. Gizmo gets traded out, so no glide bomb has been accrued for Ultra Academy EU, but it might not matter because, well, like I said, that's those spawns flipping, and as you said as well, you want to be on the broken side of the map ahead of 5. You can get into some nice nooks and crannies to be able to give yourself some good line of sights, to be able to find an abundance of kills, and that could then turn into a handful of seconds as well. Vortex just missing on the outside for Deliver will get traded out, and the spawns will flip once again. It will be Selaio Signs over by the statue side, but that doesn't mean they have the power positions going into 5 ready.
Ultra Academy, they just need 33 seconds to take this game. It would be a brilliant start to a series that they do need to win to qualify. Nobody on the hill just yet. Beans keeping an eye on the train station, has a couple of threats to deal with, should be taken out from the side here as Nadox makes his way through, looking for some more kills now is Nadox, and he does get shut down, and with that couple of kills coming through here, you got to imagine that Ultra will be at least comfortable to hop on the hill momentarily, but that comfortableness only lasts a moment here as Ultra Academy once again shoved out of the hard point. Selaio Signs, they will be in, and now this is a crucial rotation. Vortex is here early, it should be Selaio Signs in first.
will be in here first. They're holding on to the better side of the map as well. It's just about realizing and recognizing where all these players are located at, and they're being zoned away quite wonderfully. Gefa is going to be clearing out the backside of train station, but it's Furious with the rotation, and he's actually going to get 2 players to spawn on the backside of Crane. This is a big moment for Nadox, who is up top. He finds the first, but is he going to be able to realize that the spawns have fully flipped? You can see all the arrows for Selaio signs on the minimap. Still trying to scramble, still trying to figure out where some of these players are going to be located at, because Ultra Academy EU, they're playing coy. They have the leader's advantage. They can choose to strike at the utmost right time, and those 2 kills might be the go button to break into 1.
Can they clutch up? Here's Selaio signs. They get 3 kills in a row. Furious is in, though. There is 2. And that is enough here for Ultra Academy to break on through. But nobody in the hard point for a second. Ultra just 17 seconds away from victory here in this game. And Selaio signs looking to hold on. There's only 20 seconds left here. They're going to have that rotation at the back of their mind, as well as trying to contest for this time. Krober, you have to get in for a few seconds here. There you go. We're going over towards the mailroom here for another hard point. And Vortex, he will be the first player in. There was a player in the mid-map. He does get taken down, but Vortex wins the crucial battle. There should be one more challenge coming through from Selaio signs here. It will come in through the form of Cobra, who kind of now just has to hit the front of this hard point. There isn't really time for any other intricacies. Can anybody from Selaio signs get in? No, they can't. Ultra, they make the perfect rotation in the end, and they will walk away with a map 1 victory.
Yeah, you're going to be pretty frustrated if you are Selaio signs, because they were up by a solid about 30 seconds or so, and then it continuously got whittled all the way down by some very good key rotations for Toronto Ultra EU. And when you start putting yourself in the driver's seat like that, you're going to start seeing some activation coming through from a lot of key members. I mean, there was a certain point in time where Furious was almost beckoning to be closer towards double negative as well, but it's one of those things that you got to see continuously coming through, that if the pressure continuously came through from the front of what Vortex was able to continuously slip the net, that was setting up players like Gizmo and Furious to be able to lock down those longer lines of sights, being able to put themselves in a position to be able to get those kills, to be able to influence spawns in rotation, to be able to continuously get those point values, that it just basically put Selaio signs into a desperation kind of motif, if you will, that they had to continuously try to exist in the mix, and they just couldn't win the convincing gunfights continuously. And Ultra Academy EU, through the back end of that second set of hardpoints, just made them feel it quite in kind through 3 and 4, being able to slowly diminish that lead and be able to flip it.
Yeah, it really does feel like that rotation from 3 to 4. Of course, Vortex made the play, right? I think that was the key thing. You know, he went all the way around on the flank, and it was just such a massive play for them to make happen that obviously it completely flipped the game out, and they managed to get a lead. But we take a look over towards the stat lines there towards the end of the game. Ultra Academy, of course, having a brilliant game. Gizmo started to go on a tear as well that was just so paramount to them holding that train yard hardpoint. 23 of his kills end up non-traded in that game. But is there anything else kind of that stands out to you here, Andy?
Probably the biggest concern out of everything is Cobra not having themselves a lights out game on a map like Berlin Hardpoint, no less. It has been the overall, I guess, breadwinner when it comes down to overall KD, when it comes down to Hardpoint. I mean, going in towards this best of 5 series on Hardpoint specifically, Cobra is leading their team at a 1.11 overall KD for Hardpoint. Typically having a lot better of a non-traded kill percentage at about 73%. As you see right here, 11 out of 24, or 13 out of 26. Still just about half, but even more so than that, it's a lot more work that Cobra's been able to manifest for Selaio signs, but I mean, this team at this point is just playing for broke. The teamwork might be fully out the window, as they cannot at least combat to be able to be a top 4 team. They're just here to play upset, but they kind of fell a little bit spoiled to almost trying to live in the mix too much, and that's why you saw the overall lead that they had as far as the slaying department is concerned completely fall by the wayside by some good fundamental hardpoint coming through in the second set by Ultra EU.
Now, we didn't really get a chance to kind of preamble this matchup, and you know I love to preamble, Andy. You know that's my favorite thing in the world is going into a match, you know, really setting up properly. So we didn't get a chance to kind of explain to you guys why that map was actually so important. Now, obviously, we talk about the records between these two teams. Berlin Hardpoint was actually one of the strongest map mode combinations for Selaio signs this season. So if they're going to take any map in the best of 5, it was more likely than not going to be that one. That said, it was also one of the strongest map mode combinations for Toronto Ultra EU coming into this one. They are 5-0 walking into this match, I believe, on Berlin Hardpoint. So a very strong map, I think, for both of these teams, and it is Ultra who will win that duel. Moving forward now towards Tuscan Search and Destroy. That is next up in this one, of course. Selaio signs 2-4 on this one. Ultra EU 2-2. But I think that the underlining story here, Andy, is the fact that Ultra, we've seen their Search and Destroy go from strength to strength this season, and they are very good here at this time around. They look so good in S&D.
Yeah, it's funny that you and I continuously talk about this Ultra Academy EU and some of their biggest woes going back to week 1 when we were casting over top of them, and some of those biggest concerns came through in the Hardpoint because they seemed rather disjointed. Again, that is going to almost be the recipe for this roster when you are considering that, you know, they were originally playing with Harry, they go to the Pro-Am, then they have to bring in Rafi, and then they end up picking up Gizmo coming into Season 3. So there's obviously going to be some housekeeping that needs to be able to be there. So Hardpoint, we can put a little bit of asterisks on as they did lose those opening 2 Hardpoints. But Search and Destroy, specifically for this roster that has so much backbone of Search and Destroy, specifically coming through from Vortex, knowing their timings as a submachine gun player, talking about Beans as the sniper rifle player for this team, knowing a lot of their different nerdy angles that they can catch those first bloods in. Gizmo also fall suits as well. We have been able to see for them at the beginning of the season in the CDL for London Royal Ravens, being able to influence a lot of good first blood engagements. But the one person you know I want to talk about is obviously the last one I haven't talked about for Ultra Academy EU is Furious. I mean, this guy, Mr. Klaus, as Pablo likes to call him, it's one of those things that Furious just continuously finds just insurmountable value on Search and Destroy. Has a 2.14 KD on Search and Destroy. That is the #1 KD across all of Ultra, or all of EU right now for Season 3 of the Elite, and Ultra as well, as it may end up standing. It is currently boasting an 80% average winning First Blood engagements. They are currently 8-2 for First Blood engagements. That basically means that when Furious gets into a First Blood altercation, he's winning it 80% of the time and has a 70% true engagement success rate on Search and Destroy specifically. That's nuts that every single time that Furious is getting into an engagement, 70% of the time, he's either walking away with a kill or an assist. He loves to instigate these First Blood altercations. He loves to be able to push the envelope that much further, and it's continuously benefiting Ultra Academy EU in the Search and Destroy to be able to get numbers advantage by way of being able to get superior map positioning first and foremost.
Yeah, and he was so pivotal yesterday. So obviously you and I, we got to cast over Ultra Academy EU versus Rocker Academy. That, of course, was on the main broadcast. And you and I, we got to cast over it, and we got to see kind of why Furious was so annoying firsthand, right? I mean, it was 4 first bloods is what he walked away with there in that matchup. And it is just so frustrating. If you don't deal with him, he's just going to come and find a flank on you, get right into your base. And that is just going to be so frustrating to deal with. And, well, what map are we going to from map number 2? Well, it's going to be Tuscan Search and Destroy. So I won't be surprised to see the exact same thing coming out of him once again. That has to be the key to success. Therefore, for Selaio Signs, shut down Furious. You will have a much better go of things here. I will also say one of the other things to talk about here is the fact that they've also got the sniper rifle from Beans to contest with. I'm not too sure he runs the sniper rifle for Selaio Signs. Whoever it is, that fight over towards the A-bomb, over towards Ruins, I think it's going to be pivotal to a number of rounds.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, from what we have seen from Selaio Signs, sniping has not always been one of their biggest strong suits, not something that they always end up pulling out. What they do quite well when it comes down to Search and Destroy when they are winning maps is that they set up a lot of good crossfires and pinches with their AR, specifically from Cobra. Again, when it comes down to the Selaio Signs roster, there's obviously one player that's going to continuously come to mind that we're going to be talking about is Cobra, but Deppa's also right there with them, being able to instigate a lot of these first blood engagements as well, running a lot of good SMG presence throughout the entirety of the map at certain points in time. We'll have to see if they end up bringing out any sort of counter sniper, because you and I both know, and we have seen in previous times, that whoever tries to out-snipe against Beans, mostly looking at Super, has not gone so well for them, because they go all in trying to outwit and out-battle Beans with the Kar 98K on their side of the map. They end up either losing the sniper duel outright, or they just completely get run over on the opposite side.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, isn't it? Because that's one of the biggest things is we remember, you know, we're casting our minds back to, I want to say, day number 2 of week number 1, where you and I, we got to cast over Ultra Academy U versus the Dos Tontos roster, and it was the sort of the Super versus Bean show, as it were, on the sniper rifles. And I think that was an exemplification of everything we kind of expect out of Beans as a player. He's always been a relatively understated player, I think, obviously, because, and again, I think it's almost very similar to kind of how Furious performed back in Season 1, right? It's like, if you're not doing well, or your team isn't doing well, I should say, then you're not going to maybe be looked at as much as a player, right? And I think we could probably say that for Super, who so far this season, apart from maybe Season 3, where, hey, maybe this AYM esports roster can now actually be genuine contenders to win the entire thing. You know, we look at Season 1 and Season number 2, despite being, statistically speaking, one of the strongest players, I don't think anybody ever really paid much attention to him. I think the same can be said for Beans. I mean, statistically speaking, he had an incredible performance in Season 2. I believe he was the best player on Ultra Academy EU during that season. And nonetheless, because of the fact that Ultra only, I say only because I still think third is a brilliant placement, only place third, I just don't think he got as much attention as otherwise he should do. So, yeah, Beans is absolutely a great player, and I think that sniper rifle is something that Selaio Signs should be concerned about. However, I mean, we're talking a lot about Ultra Academy EU here. I think we should probably talk a little bit about Selaio Signs because they are a roster that has been at least had a somewhat positive season this time around. I think, you know, in season 1, I want to say they've placed 6th. Season 2, sorry, they placed 6th. And I'd say that was a pretty good opening for Selaio Signs. I think we didn't really expect them to be this sort of championship contending roster. And I still don't think that expectation had changed coming into Season 3. No slight against the roster. But, you know, these guys, they won the match versus Dos Tontos to open up Season 3. They have shocked a few teams, as they did during Season 2. I think, you know, they're doing pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, they are doing pretty well. In one of that map 5, it was actually on a Tuscan Search and Destroy against Dos Tontos, at the time now known as AIM Esports, of course, where they did win 6-1. And it's one of those things, again, that when you are considering the Selaio Signs roster, Search and Destroy was never going to be their overall breadwinner. They love to outpace their opponents, control Hardpoint was probably going to be their biggest look to be able to win out the series, but definitely nothing to scoff at when it comes down to this team. I think what mostly was the biggest turn of the tides for them was that they went to map 5 in their opening 3 matches, you know, losing to the Invincibles in map 5, losing to Team War in map 5, and then coming into to the second week as well. You know, they are at the end of the first week, I should say, their 4th round robin match that they ended up losing the Dizzy's Rascals 0-3. You and I casted over top of that match, Brody, where they lost by a whole second on that Bokosh hardpoint. It's just one of those things, that momentum aside, for some of these young players that they need to be able to find value with to be able to bounce back from. It will be Cobra with the boomstick, going to be looking over this ruin side. 3 players strong here for Selaio Signs to assault this ruin side of the map.
Well, at least they put the pressure on towards Beans as well, and Deliver's going to open up with a tasty nade on towards that player. So Beans down for the count. That is a lane that has been opened up, but quite a lot of information here for Ultra Academy EU to work with. Furious, currently watching over maps, is going to have to back up, while the rest of the Selaio Signs roster has some ideas about where they want to take this bomb. I think A might have actually kind of been pushed away from their minds for the moment.
Oh, Gizmo gets with the read on top of fire, at least for one. With this numbers advantage, you'd love to see what's coming out from Selaio Signs. The minimap is, of course, blocked, but they're trying to move their way across B5, get inside that B site. If Fierce was able to get out with their life there, it would have been magical, but now forcing out the 2v3, Selaio Signs have no idea where the rest of these players for Ultra are located at.
Maybe Gizmo can put a stop to these players as they cross over towards B. Call is there made, and there you go. They're going to take down Cobra. He did just see Deliver as well, so the call should be coming through. Depra's watching over towards the radio side, so the bomb will go down. 2v2. Vortex and Gizmo coming from that radio side. Depra are now going on the flank, and may he catch these players off guard. I think Gizmo's actually just dropped down the ladder, and there you go. Gizmo, Vortex is going to win that first gunfight against Deliver, but they don't know where Depra is. There's number 1 for Depra. Now you've just got to play time, have a look at the bomb. Can you get away with your life? Yes, you can if you're a Depra here in this situation. But Gizmo, just going to relax at the moment. Has no reason to get antsy, but he will now go looking. He's just spotted out Depra. Gizmo gets the gunfight through the wall. The defuse will come through as well.
Wow. Ample time to be able to get said defuse as well. That was wonderfully played out by Gizmo, who was playing up in top church continuously, gets the gunfight initially onto the player top fire, and then immediately repositions, being able to see, hey, there's no information, there's nothing coming across the ruin side of the map, nothing in the middle of the map. There's only really one play that could be coming through from Selaio Signs, and that's they are going to push through the maps room over by P5. Immediately repositions inside of radio, watches those players come through, saw the one cross. Maybe I actually think that they might have missed that timing, because you immediately saw, at least from one more player for Ultra Academy, started clearing away P5, thinking that maybe there was a second player back there. But being able to get that kill, stay alive, and then forcing out the 1v1 there at the end with time, left to be able to get the defuse. Gizmo wins that round. Beans for first blood in this one. Numbers advantage in favor of the offense.
And Beans not running the sniper rifle here. But I do like the adaptation coming through from Selaio Signs. It might kind of all be for naught, though, in this situation, right? Because now Cobra is down as well, so Deliver and Depra, last remaining players left up. Ultra have basically all the choices in the world. It's a pick and mix and bob sites. Depra just going to hold off for the moment here. Spots that maybe Furious is on the other side of that wall, but there's no point taking a gunfight that you might well lose, and Deliver, well, he's going to lose his. So Depra now stuck between a few rocks, a few hard places. This is not the best position to be in, but you can tell you what, maybe just run straight out in the middle of the map and see what you can catch, but gets absolutely nothing. Ultra going to win the round.
He really needed that trade on the Beans to the middle of the map, be able to get maybe Monument back in their side, but when that trade doesn't come through and you can't try to at least make numbers somewhat even on two different sides, it's just a lost battle from soon after from Selaio Signs. And I mean, when you're looking at the off the rip, it's very, very difficult to be able to combat it against both Beans and Furious, who are just the first blood kings at so many different points in time. If it's not Beans with the Card 98K, we know he's going to have the Automaton to be able to watch that longer line of sight, to be able to fish out that first blood, knowing that an engagement, more often than not, will be coming through. Here comes Selaio Signs, though. 4 players strong. Nades over the top, trying to push over inside of the B site. Gizmo will not be allowed to get any further towards that glide bomb as Cobra strikes him down for first.
Yeah, I feel like this is the time now for Selaio Signs to really dig deep into their strategy book, and it is going to be this B hit now from the Signs roster, but they haven't got the bomb down just yet. I think they're being a little bit more apprehensive. They kind of want to get that second blood in before they choose to get the bomb down. Safety first, as it were. Your seatbelts are definitely on here if it's Selaio Signs, and now there you go. You're going to get it delivered with yet another couple of kills here, and now just Beans left up in a 1 versus 4. Delivery's going to check this corner, and Beans is down for the count. How about that for in-game sense? Selaio Signs, they get around on the board.
Yeah, it was wonderfully played out when you're thinking of the greater scheme of things for Selaio Signs, right? You know, 4 players strong, they get some nades. I don't think anything connected through the middle of the map. If it did, it didn't even matter, because they found that first blood on a Joey inside of the radio stairs, where they play a pivotal role going back to round number 1, and then the rest of the players, instead of getting the bomb down, as you were saying, they wanted to maybe find that second, what the initial play was, maybe try to catch a player on the rotation on the backside of Church, and then re-wrap all the way inside of the A bomb, and then completely flip the map, knowing that Ultra Academy were going to be coming around the backside of P5. It's just so tough to be able to combat it against Delivery. Even got half stunned, still able to walk away with those 2 kills, as Ultra Academy and their offense, again, favoring towards this A side, will be traded out. Cobra with a nice nade.
Vortex going to be found out here, so for Selaio Signs, this is going pretty well, to be honest, especially now that the bomb is down over in U. Ultra Academy going to find a way to retrieve it. Depper actually gets a little bit overzealous here, so that might have been a free kill, but now Cobra with a sniper rifle to take down Gizmo. Now it has just been left up in a 1 versus 2, and you kind of know, if you're a Selaio Signs here, where this player is going to be positioned, just because of kind of where they're positioned, generally speaking, at the start of every round on the offense. So Selaio Signs, just play this one together. Bean's going to make that rotation over towards B. Going to check middle out first, and I think he might get caught on the cross here. There you go, the information game, but Beans gets some shots in and hasn't been taken down just yet.
No, but he needs to try to plant this bomb and extend the round out. It's going to be planned for you. Deppa's trying to hit it, and Deppa, a little bit of a mistiming, ends up seeing Beans jump inside of you. It'll be Cobra out from fire that will get that kill. It's so tough to try to finesse a 1v2. Beans really hoping to be able to get that kill, at least one top fire. Got some damage in. It's just not enough damage. Not being able to get that kill to be able to extend the round of 45 seconds, planting the bomb at A itself. They immediately need to almost try to reconcile with what ended up coming through, and maybe try to rewrap over towards B, trying to fiddle with the time and the clock, knowing that the rotation could just as easily been there for Selaio Signs to be able to deny that push. Just a tough call overall for a 1v2. Cobra with the sniper again. What the hell of a read was that? First blood on the Sevo.
Stun goes out as well, gets the information that there is actually another player in the mid-map to contest with, but Beans immediately in with a trade now. This is going to be a very fast round for Ultra Academy. They're pretty happy with the position, especially as now they've got bomb down in Vines. Cobra with a sniper rifle, maybe looking to kind of pick off Gizmo towards that top church area. Deliver will fall, and now, of course, the information should be here for Ultra. Cobra's the last man left up, unless he's picked up an auto, which now, to be fair, he has. Should have a sniper rifle, but they will not act fast to that information, and now they have a little bit more to work with. Cobra taking those shots in. Has some shots in the back as well. He will fall. That's a tough position to be in after that bomb goes down.
And it's just a really good bounce back again. I mean, Cobra was starting to work up some streaks as well, so being able to find this kill just amounts to a lot more than you would truly just chalk it up to be, as you saw Cobra trying to get out with their life. You had 3 players looking at that bottom well area, making sure that Cobra could not get out scot-free. But with that first blood on Estevo on the bottom side of Church, immediately denies any sort of middle-of-the-map antics. At least you would hope so for Ultra Academy EU, but, I mean, they don't care. They continue to push all the way through. Beans finds 2 in the round, and Cobra just trying to fish out this first blood. It's Vortex with the bomb. Does not want to hold that angle for too long, but Selaio Signs, again, aggression has been paying off. They got 2 players inside of Ultra's U.
Once again, it's Selaio Signs here who have managed to push up in towards that U area. Ultra Academy going to have to contend with it. Beans will be the arbiter of the fight. There's something for free. Only get discounts here as Beans flies round the corner looking for the kills. We'll find both. Cobra, can he do anything about this? I mean, he goes for the double chow. That's egregious at best. Doesn't matter, though. He ends up with the gunfight, and now it's Deliver left up in a 1 versus 3. At least he hasn't done anything irrational, playing super fast with this one, just looking for any kills off the bottom, and sees the hairs on Vortex heads there in that gunfight. Doesn't even have the plant go down. So Deliver's not in a bad position here.
No, he's not, but Beans knows where he's at, knows that the reach-out has to come through to at least deny the plant. There's only one reason why Vortex would be on that site, and if Selaio Signs did their homework, they should be more than aware that Vortex does play the OBJ on S&D. And yeah, that angle, I mean, we got to see it on CDL this past weekend, right? From Nero of Boston Breach, that very nerdy angle. You see a sliver of the cheek. At least one player trying to plant there on A. Able to get that kill and deny the plant coming through. But again, it's just a wonderful read coming out from Mr. Beans himself. Now on 5 in a row, is able to find that double kill inside their U. Goes to the sniper rifle, sees one cross, misses just on the outside for that first blood, but stuns, nades, everything else in between, hoping to connect with it. Doesn't get any hit markers off of that frag grenade, but it's just buying time for Vortex to play a forward position here in mid-map.
Vortex facing quite a lot of pressure at the moment. He does have the support from Gizmo, Top Church, if somebody chooses to push him. Vortex himself now, getting aggressive, gets that first kill versus Deliver. Does he bait out Nadox to the position? Yes, he does, and actually there is no immediate trade coming through. There it is. Trades back and forth we go, though, as Cobra is taking down Gizmo from that position. 2v2 now. Selaio Signs, they've got to retrieve that bomb and get it down here to extend the clock in the round. They've got Cobra on Overwatch, but Ultra Academy should take this one from the grass side.
Being dropped in quite the precarious position. I mean, you can see slightly, at least from the X-Ray, Cobra and Depa. They are relatively split from one another. Cobra's trying to work their way inside Top Church, has gotten there. Trying to overwatch this play so that way Depa can maybe try to retrieve the bomb. Sees the barrel, furious. Won't be alive for much longer. Beans in 1v2. He finds these kills. Not only does he clutch the round, but he also gets themselves a glide bomb, and the read is there. They're going towards B.
Is the cover there, though? Can Beans stop the plant? I think Depp has just seen him. The call should be made now that Cobra's going to come around and get that gunfight, and he will. And Beans there, I mean, he switched up towards the sniper rifle for this round onwards, and kind of gets caught with his pants down because of it.
Yeah, it's just tough, right? You know, it just maybe a second earlier, he might be able to catch Depa mid-plant, but as you say, Depa immediately saw Beans coming down the church ramp, but was able to then go prone and then immediately convey that information to Cobra to be able to come get that kill. Cobra with the sniper rifle, by the way. More often than not, I think we've only seen one round where Cobra just runs with the AR. It's 10-4 on a 3 spree. Goes back towards the sniper rifle again, just misses on the outside, sees a lot of players on the ruin side of the map. That's the immediate call for Selaio Signs to reconvene in the middle of the map.
And Beans will fall here once again. Cobra, can he put the round even further in favor of Selaio Signs? He's been deadly with a sniper rifle, number 12. 5 in a row for Cobra. The head of Furious flies over towards next map. And now, Vortex and Gizmo in the 2 versus 4. Vortex will fall now down to Gizmo. What can you do? Nothing from Fire. Not really got anything to work with whatsoever. Selaio Signs going toe-to-toe at the moment with this Ultra roster.
Yeah, and Selaio Signs, again, when you go back to their round 11 win yesterday versus Rocker Academy and their 6-1 win versus Dos Tontos on this very map, what they've been able to do continuously is take these very aggressive positionings and walk away with a lot of these gunfight victories as well. It is egregious to constantly take these forward positions and aggressive positionings at that, but if Ultra Academy EU are not stopping them, they're not winning the gunfights, you might as well keep doing it, because now Selaio Signs have evened things up going in towards round number 9. Vortex has a lot of work to do, has some help from Beans over top. The entire team of Ultra Academy completely collapse on this play, leaving poor Deliver in a 1v4.
He's facing down these players now. Has he actually escaped this? I thought for a second there that, like, these players are about to run past. Beans is like, hang on, we haven't actually cleared this back rooftop area, so I'm just going to go check this one. But yeah, brilliant read coming out from Ultra Academy EU. That's a strat right from the strategy book there. Push all the way through the map, send 3 or 4 players towards it. Can't deal with the swarm.
They answer with aggression of their own. They clear away the middle of the map. No stuns, nades connect in the middle of the map because 4 players for Selaio Signs all push through rooftops. And inside of P5, that immediately means that Vortex has some work to do. Had the overwatch there from Beans and Gizmo down low. Be able to get those kills. Now we have a little bit of a reprieve here as Ultra Academy are on map point, but Depa does not care. Hits the middle of the map. Needs to get traded here inside of L, but the push isn't there.
And that's the problem, I think, at the moment for Ultra Academy here in this round. Has been a problem, I think, that Selaio Signs have presented to them time and time again. First Blood's not being answered as effectively as they otherwise would have liked. Still, Ultra, at least they've got the bomb, right? So the bomb isn't down in any kind of precarious position here. Ultra still have a fair bit of choice in how this round does go, but ideally you just need to find a trade somewhere. I think Ultra might have to do without it for the moment. And there you go. Furious going to catch Depper off guard. He was in a bit of a sticky situation. Gizmo elsewhere going to take down Deliver as well. And how quickly this round has fallen back in favor of the Ultra roster. Nadox does put a stop to the bleeding, but now for Ultra, they have a lot more room to breathe here.
And they still have no idea where Cobra might be located at. So they're going to duo up our Vortex and Furious together. They're going to push away the backside of Church. Maybe flip out the map, try to plant the bomb at B. You have to allocate 4.5 seconds for that plant to come through, and I think just by judging the way that Furious has posted up on the backside, they should be more than aware that there could be a player top radio. It's Cobra with the sniper. Good overwatch. The snipe comes through. Bomb still needs to be collected and planted by Furious, but you know Nadox is starting to fly. They need to come back here and stop this plant from coming through. Should be able to catch Furious. Stops the plant. Furious needs to push for the kill now. There's not enough time to be able to make this rotation happen over towards A. And Selaio Signs, by the hair on their chinny chin chin, stay alive in the round. What a rotation coming through from Cobra. Again, putting on a little bit of a montage with how quickly they're able to get these quick scopes off for a lot of these kills at the ladder and at the beginning of the rounds as well, Brody. Got ourselves a round 11.
Oh, this is a close one now between these two teams. Selaio Signs presenting a serious challenge here to Ultra Academy, a final opponent in the path to making playoffs. Here we go, round 11. Cobra looking for the quick scope in the middle of the map. Does not catch Steve off guard. Steve has managed to get through the middle of the map, though. A little bit of positioning here for Ultra. They are very happy with the way this round has gone so far. They haven't lost anything because of it, and they have total map control.
And they stopped the mid-map push as well. I mean, Vortex staying alive with 19 HP has to just post up in this position, in a 1-for-1 position at that, should I add. That's going to force Beans to push up over on the Godheady, just outside of the A-bomb. Big reprieve has been happening. Cobra might have saw East Gizmo up on the top side of radio. They're starting to collect themselves over here by the communications room, Brody, and they're thinking about a B push, perhaps.
Furious, he is here for it. I think Cobra will have seen him. There you go, the snipe comes through wall. Furious, sent packing. And now for Selaio Signs, 35 seconds left here. Gizmo on the overwatch of the cross. And maybe this is a bait play. I mean, it might well be there. Deliver gets the shot on towards Gizmo, but Ultra, they're completely unfazed. They have total faith in the fact that Furious can watch that cross, and in doing so, they've still got both players on towards A. Beans is over here. He does get shut down. Now the 2 versus 4. Vortex is the closest player to do anything about this, and he still has the potential to clutch because you don't know where he is. Vortex gets that opening gunfight. Selaio Signs now need to get the bomb down, but you still do now know where Vortex is. The bomb should go down.
Bomb will go down, but you still don't know that Furious is right above Deliver. Deliver's just going to play in this 1-for-1 position. At least has some sort of sense that there might be a player coming out from Church, but again, the biggest player that could clutch things up is Vortex, is on the flank through Vines.
Depper would not get traded in the position. There you go, Deliver going to win the gunfight versus Furious, and now it's Vortex, the 1v2. The S&D Mastermind gets the first kill, but cannot get the second. Selaio Signs take away the search and destroy here for Ultra at the 11th hour in the 11th round.
Winning the back 2 rounds again, being able to stay mixy. I mean, look, call a spade here. There's really no reason for Gizmo to go for that heat check, knowing that there was one player that was on that post on the outside of P5, right? I mean, you just had to hold the cross, just whether or not they were at least aware to a certain degree or extent that there was going to be a player top radio for Selaio Signs. Gizmo just needs to hold that angle. They go 1-for-1 there, maybe get some good damage into at least 2 players. That's going to be the immediate call for Furious to then come down on the backside of Church to be able to lock down that position with an AR, no less, on the backside of Truck to maybe find another kill, display the plan from coming all the way through over by B. But Gizmo gets a little bit antsy. They try to take that challenge onto Deliver, and they absolutely lose that gunfight. Vortex almost made the play. Look, stuns, nades connected. Yeah. Vortex at that point just held their position underneath fire inside of that 1-for-1 position. And then they were kind of hestant after Gizmo had at least probably conveyed the information that they saw a multitude of players coming out from P5 over by the patio side. But it was a misjudgment call, I would say, because then that immediately then gets talked about, that Beans saw 2 players outside of the Godheady over by you, and then that immediately had to call for Vortex to be able to come back around inside that 1-for-1 position. did stop the plant from coming through, but in a 2v2 in a post-plant situation, having one player on the bottom side of Broken Church and then another player just playing on the defensive side of you, it's very tough to be able to recollect yourself as a defensive team to be able to stack up together and maybe play for the trade game. You're almost hoping for isolated 1v1s to come all the way through. Furious had the drop, got gunned from the player from behind, which I believe was Deliver, and then Vortex has to make the play happen. Does find the first, but to be able to find that second plus the bomb defuse to come through, especially with how good of a head glitch is underneath top fire or bottom fire like that, is just such an uphill battle that Vortex simply could not come up on top of.
It's crazy. It's just crazy the way that round 11 went, right? Because it felt like Ultra maybe had a handle on it as Vortex got that one kill, because obviously there's just 15 seconds left on the clock, and Selaio Science managed to get the bomb down. As you say, it's so tough in those positions, but it is Selaio Science that come out on top, and we can take a look. I think it's fair to say a massive reason why were just the sniper plays that we're seeing from Cobra, and we were discussing actually going into it, right, that Beans is the player you need to take down. For the majority of that search and destroy, Beans actually wasn't running a sniper rifle for the first bloods.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, again, that you might be recognizing that Selaio Signs were running a sniper more often than not. Again, Cobra almost damn near double positive, 13 and 7, about 1,500 damage right there with Deliver 10 and 8, but they were almost trying to combat min-map pressure for min-map pressure, because if there's one player that we were highlighting more than anything going into Search and Destroy, it would probably be Furious. Being able to fish out these first bloods was a non-benefactor. No first bloods, 5 first bloods in total between Beans and Stevo. Vortex, as it may be, but it's one of those things, again, that Ultra Academy, when it comes down to a map like Tuscan, if Beans doesn't find that first blood through 2 different rounds, is probably going to be playing much more of the counter sniper play, if not picking up that automaton, because you saw that adjustment coming through, right? That Vortex was trying to push up in the middle of the map. You cannot comfortably nor reliably do that unless you have a player top church constantly. That was Gizmo previously, but they were getting smoked by Cobra, top fire, or top church, respectively, on 2 different sides of the map. And then Gizmo immediately on defense, no less, had to give up that position to watch that push that was coming through P5 continuously by Selaio Signs. So it had to be Beans to pick up that automaton to then push up through the ruined side of the map across that A lane to be able to take such a forward position to be able to help out Vortex in case any pressure came through.
Alrighty, well, the search and destroy has gone the way of Selaio Signs, and they do make this series somewhat interesting now. 1-1 we go, control on Berlin. That is what is next. This, again, you have to imagine, though, should be a comfortable battleground here for Toronto Ultra Academy EU. They are 3-0 on this one, and we've seen them play it before. Of course, we saw it yesterday in that match versus Rocker Academy, where they won 2 offenses, Andy.
Yeah, look, when it comes down to Berlin Control, I would probably say just Control in general. This Ultra Academy EU, at least the core 3, have always been very, very good. Like the hybrid mode of both respawn and objective play has always been very sublime for Ultra Academy EU, especially when you're considering, you know, you do have Vortex on this map, right? It has always been a good limelight, a cornerstone, if you will, for success when it comes down to Control, dating all the way back to BO4. But you're also looking at just the strides that can also be created and the spawn traps soon to follow when you're considering what both Beans and Gizmo have been able to lock down defensively on a map like Berlin Control, when you're considering that Warehouse Street, getting inside top third of Mail, being able to overwatch players just spawning up on the backside of Warehouse and just gunning them before they can even get inside of the train station. What that does is then you can enable your instigator, which is Furious, to be able to constantly work these very annoying flanks to be able to get behind the play continuously. What Ultra Academy EU have done so well through Control the entirety of Season 3 of the Elite so far is putting teams into a desperate state of mind, which makes Furious's play that much more potent.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, isn't it? Of course, you know, Selaio Signs, we haven't got to see them much this season thus far, Andy. You know, I think this is the first time you and I have actually got cast Selaio Signs this season, I believe. You know, I think nonetheless, right, I think this is going to be interesting to see kind of how much they push back versus this Ultra Academy EU roster here on Blink Control. You've kind of laid out there what Ultra need to do for victory. We saw it yesterday again in that Rocker matchup where they completely crushed them. On the offense. We need to see that from the roster once again here. And to kind of lay out kind of the overall context of this matchup, this is the final match of Season 3 of Challengers Elite here in the round robin stage for Ultra Academy U and Selaio Signs. Selaio Signs, they're already out no matter what they do. This would be a 3rd win on the board for the roster, but it would not be enough to qualify for playoffs. Ultra Academy U, on the other hand, a victory here in this series would send them to playoffs. A loss would leave them relying on other teams here that they're also facing in that 4-way battle for the final 3 playoff spots. But in towards Berlin Control we go. And, well, it feels like Ultra Academy EU at the moment going to go for a very delayed push over towards it B.
Yeah, and it's all off the Bay play, right? I mean, Gizmo is the only player over here. Selaio Signs communicating that, hey, there's players over by A, but unbeknownst to them, it was just one. That's going to be Gizmo. While the other 3 players, they rotate on over towards B, but it's not coming up in their favor, at least not quite yet. Trying to still work up this first tick of progress, just barely missing out on it. Finally, it might end up coming through, as at least you have one player touching the zone. That was Vortex, but will be cleaned up by Nadox. So now the map has completely reset. Ultra Academy EU spawning on the backs of the warehouse. Deal with Cobra over by the B hut. So now they have the presence of mind to maybe step on towards this A zone, but Deliver might have made the play from behind.
Indeed, Deliver could still stop this A push. Hasn't been spotted out even by Gizmo. Q was actually waiting on the flank, so here we go. Deliver looking towards the left, but he does get shut down. There is trades coming on through, though. Ultimately, Deliver is the catalyst for the players. Cobra has the final say. He will remove 2 players, and now Selaio Stein's really starting to apply the pressure here towards the spawn. I think Nadox there gets super aggressive, very far in towards the train yard, but does get shut down. So good reaction, to be fair, from Ultra Academy EU here. They're not going to buckle under said pressure from Selaio Signs, and straight back towards A they go. Just 2 ticks of aggression now have been made. The third about to come through. Depper has been stopped short of being able to stop the progress. Fiend's able to take down another as well. He is just single-handedly removing Selaio Signs from Broken, and now maybe really pivotal player here for Ultra Academy U as they make their way over towards B.
And I urge you, those at home still trying to figure out how to sequence the A in towards the B zone, look at what Ultra Academy EU have done. They have been able to capture the A zone, and they immediately send players inside of the lobby. They send Beans up through the upper courtyard. Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to get some streaks, but it's not going to be without a certain amount of pressure that's coming all the way through. Vortex finds one through the upper courtyard. That's going to be the immediate call for the players for Selaio Signs just to hold the line and wait for Ultra Academy EU to slowly come up through the concourse over by the train station. That'll be Deliver off screen. Now we flip towards their point of view. They do find one, but it's not enough for Ultra Academy EU as far as the trades nor kills to be able to get numbers in their favor to be able to push over towards the speed zone reliably.
Ultra looking for an opening. They might well have it. Keep an eye on number 2 on your minimap. That's going to be Vortex, who is putting together a flank. I think Cobra will have spotted out here, but actually momentarily will look away. So Vortex now looking for the gunfight. Does get shut down. Furious is in for the trade, but that's enough. It is all but the distraction that Ultra Academy EU need as they now battle their way through the front of the control zone. Deliver does take Beans down from the side. So Ultra, technically speaking, do not have the numbers in this situation. Selaio Signs, can they work off the back of that to remove Ultra from the control zone? The answer, at least initially, seems to be no. 6v4. Selaio Signs now down to their final set of respawns, and Deffer does fall.
Falls 5v2, man. Beans just lighting up the kill feed. Double positive. You would almost feel like this has to be a monumental hole specifically from Cobra, but Vortex hits the concourse stairs. Deliver. Not a whole lot you can do. I mean, it's impressive antics, agile like a cat, standing on top of that bookcase like that, but Ultra Academy EU, again, by war of attrition, just making sure that the clock stays at least stalled out, touching the zone when they can, finding these kills, finding the trades, being able to get themselves a win condition. They're set, being able to win out on lives alone. Being able to get 4 ticks of progress as well, that's massive going forward, especially when we talk about a round 5 defense that maybe needs to come all the way through. But job 1 here for Selaio Signs, they have to win an offensive round.
Trades in immediately here. Selaio Signs going for something a little bit more traditional as straight towards A they go. They do have one player watching the long flank, watching Broken, and make sure no players make their way over there. That's going to be Deliver, who might well have to contest with Vortex, making the long flank behind the train yard, and there you go. Vortex going to win out on that particular engagement here. So Ultra Academy at least making Selaio Signs not uncomfortable on towards A. Depper and Nadox going to win a couple of gunfights. Furious now trying to make his way towards the front of the control zone. Let's get shut down. Does shut down one player. Looking for some more kills here. A couple more players from Selaio Signs to get, but at the very least will slow up that capture. I think for Ultra Academy now, they might well have just lost this one. That final tick will come through, but Ultra, they have positioned themselves well for the next rotation.
Yeah, you just chalk it. You play for exits now. Vortex is looking towards the middle, and they're going to be at least find one. Trades need to be there, though. Vortex might be able to hit the route. The regen soon to follow, but needs to be careful. Camera almost gets broken. Still guns Nadox. And still not traded, by the way. I mean, Vortex is still going AWOL. It's going to be behind one more player who's egregiously pushing forward. That's Depa, who has isolated themselves away from their team some way or another. But yeah, chalking that last tick means everything. They were at least in a position where Selaio Signs to continuously keep that live advantage. But then Ultra Academy EU absolutely snapped. They play for the exits. They find said exits, and now they can keep Selaio Signs trapped over towards this B lane. But you still have one player on the flank that's going to be Delivered. Smart enough, not touching the B zone. trying to commit towards this pinch to at least get these players that's closer towards their spawns to enable the rest of their teammates to move across the map.
There's just one player from Ultra that could potentially put a stop to this. Of course, Gizmo, Deliver, ready to deal with him. Of course, there's more Selaio Signs players around for Ultra to deal with. The trade's now coming in, but Selaio Signs still making the progression on towards B. Ultra, can they put a stop to this one? The numbers are still technically in their favor as long as they make sure that Nadoc and Cobra do not get anywhere near the point. The gunfight's going down, though. Depper, now the last player alive. He will stay alive on this B zone as well. The capture starting to come on through. The second tick at the very least will, and Depper is swinging from player to player at the moment. The third tick now starting to rise in favor of Selaio Signs. Furious has broken on through, but how long will he last there as well? Ultra Academy, they are stopping the capture for now, but Selaio Signs, they are never far away.
Never far away at all. 10 lives remaining for both of our two teams. You would almost assume that Selaio Signs really want to win this off of capture progress alone to be able to give themselves a further more chance to be able to get round 5 defense if it comes down to it, but they are also getting pushed inside a mail. They are luckily enough able to deal with Vortex before any damage has caused. Through Secret, Gizmo has an angle now on 4 in a row, working up a couple of streaks. We're looking at 50 seconds to be able to potentially find 9 kills plus 1 tick progression. Very doable for the Frenchman.
I feel like this is probably going to come down to lives, if anything, at this point, right? As you say, 45 seconds left on the clock. That's more than enough time here for one of these rosters' lives to go down towards 0. And at the moment, it feels like that might be Selaio Signs. Gizmo on 6 in a row now. Bullying Selaio Signs back towards their spawn. Gizmo looking for the glide bomb. That would certainly be a damning thing to work up against if you're Selaio Signs here. Just looking for number 7. Put some premise shots in towards Nadox, and that will not be the kill. So still looking for number 7 here is Ultra Academy. And now Gizmo will end up falling. 6v4. You can see Selaio Signs here restart to position themselves for the potential flank. Furious takes down 1, but he is relying on Bean staying alive over towards the train, and he does get shut down. Now 2v4 we go. 2v3 we go. Nadox only able to get 1, so it is now Cobra left up 1v3. Can he pull off a stupendous clutch? No, he cannot. Ultra, they survived the battle over towards B. They do lose a lot of ticks, but the round is theirs.
Yeah, 1 tick progression as far as the lead is concerned for Selaio Signs, but 2-0 goes the overall round count for Toronto Ultra Academy EU, who again have been doing a bang-up job being able to find these trades even when their backs are against the wall. They've been able to resurface themselves, find the kills required, play with the information that's also given them, right? I mean, when the zone gets pushed, this Ultra Academy EU roster knows immediately which corners to potentially look at, while also having the overwatch for the ARs, watching the inevitable push that comes through the backside of the train. Nadox through the middle of the map, finds first blood through the round. Vortex on the other side commits towards the flank from the upper courtyard. Ultra Academy EU with a 2-round buffer, go for broke off the B zone first and foremost, and they still have numbers here, Brody.
Gizmo continuing to shred these players. Yes, he was stopped short of the glide bomb the prior round, but this time he wants to put yet another streak together, and Selaio Signs, they're taking their time. We're getting towards the point, and this is, it's a tough one to try and take these players out, isn't it? Now just 2 players from Selaio Signs who could put a stop to this. Bean's the last remaining player inside the point. He's a sliver away from managing to capture B. Does get shut down, unfortunately for Selaio Signs. Look at the top of our screens, folks. They are a tiny, tiny segment of progression away from that B zone, fallen by the wayside, but straight back to the old faithful. Ultra Academy go. They want to capture A.
The B-zone capture progress was a lot higher than Lysol kills germs, that's for sure. It was almost there, but even more so, the rotation going over towards the A zone is a little bit more blistering when you're thinking about Selaio Signs skirting through the middle of the map. They're able to find the kills along the way. The only player that's not accounted for is Vortex, who actually escapes. Now they're trying to hit the route on the backside of the B zone.
And this B zone might well be captured now. You've got 2 players here. I don't think anybody from Selaio Signs is going to touch this regardless of what happens. So there you go. That touch does not come through. Cobra gets one of the exit frags, but I mean, that's not really all that important, is it? As now A is all that Ultra Academy need. Vortex swinging from player to player at the moment, looking for frag after frag. That was 5 in a row for the man. Ultra Academy, everything looks up top trumps for this roster here in round number 3. They're in a 16 versus 9 life advantage. They are just a sliver of progression away from capturing the zone. Depper, the last remaining player who could put a stop to this. Maybe Deliver can do something about it. He will fly through, but falls just as quickly as well. How about that for an answer after the search and destroy? Ultra Academy with another 3-0 victory and 2 offensive rounds to boot.
It's just such good fundamental control when you're thinking about it for Ultra Academy EU, isn't it? That they are just relentless on making sure that they are more than cognizant and aware that when they are losing the gunfights, they're constantly setting players on the flanks. Who was the biggest breadwinner and the overall catalyst for a lot of those plays? it was Vortex, man, constantly being able to recognize, if not being communicated with their team. That small talk absolutely at an all-time high. You would assume for Ultra Academy EU that when the gunfights were lost, Vortex was getting the hell out of Dodge. He wanted nothing to do with any part of those trades, to be able to potentially be a part of the spawn trap that could potentially be there against Selaio Signs, even on defensive stand of things. They were constantly being able to fish out flanks, timings, to be able to get inside a fire, lobby, through the upper courtyard, being able to pinch these players from behind, captures the B zone, and then re-wraps, re-flanks coming back to the middle of the map, gets behind the entire play of Selaio Signs, who were scrambling from the backside of P3 itself, to be able to reinforce the A zone as it was quickly on attacking through by the ARs of both Beans and Gizmo, who were doing a bang-up job of being able to find these early kills to be able to open up the floodgates for such flank plays to be able to manifest.
Yeah, I should say, fair is fair. Selaio Signs, although it was ultimately a 3-0 against them there in that control, and ultimately Ultra Academy were winning 2 offensive rounds, which you cannot bring down in any way, shape, or form. It's such an amazing achievement there, especially on Call of Duty Vanguard, where control is just so defensively sided. But, we look towards the second round. Selaio Signs, it wasn't too bad, to be fair, right? It came down to kills at the end of the day. They managed to capture A. It was just that battle towards B, and they also got 2 ticks of aggression on that B point as well. So as far as these offensive rounds did go there, everything from both sides was actually pretty good here on Berlin Control. We can take a look at the stat lines, and we are currently missing 1 player on Selaio Signs who managed to escape the lobby before we could show their stat lines. So we can't talk about them, but at the very least, I think we should be concentrating on Ultra Academy here. Beans 26 and 15. Pretty much everybody having a good go at things there. But I think actually the one I want to focus on is actually kind of the streak column, which I know is a column that we don't often think about, but every single player, one way or another, had this moment where they were just going on a crazy tear that causes so many problems for Selaio Signs for Ultra Academy.
Yeah, the streak column is definitely something we could talk about. For Beans and Gizmo, again, we're just playing those longer lines of sight. You can even shift your focus away from them going on 6 sprees continuously to over towards the assists, and that kind of more or less backs up what I was talking about. 26-15 for Beans. They were getting a lot of their own kills. They only had 17 non-traded, but the same thing could be said about Gizmo. 20 assists between both ARs for Ultra Academy EU, and it also can be replicated again as far as how much damage they were laying down. 3,000 for Beans, 2,500 for Joey, and it's one of those things, again, that they were finding ample damage to be able to enforce a lot of the plays that were happening, whether it was Furious up the gut or Vortex around the flank. It was just constant focus and berating of damage that Ultra Academy EU were able to lay down, starting from their ARs and being cleaned up at certain points in time by them as well, but the SMGs said to be able to open up the lanes for them to be able to get into further positions to extend their map positioning.
Alrighty, well, Selaio Signs now, the resistance might be coming to an end as the 3-0 in control means that now Ultra Academy EU 2-1 up in the series. They are 1 hardpoint victory away from making their way in towards playoffs with what I believe is going to be a 5-2 record. Overall, we can take a look at what the map is going to be, and it will be Tuscan. Actually, I would say this is the one map in the series that, from a pure record standpoint, technically speaking, Selaio Signs have a better go of things here.
Both of them were 1-1, so...
Oh, they're 2-1?
Was
I looking at different stat lines?
Might be.
They might be 2-1.
I'm looking at the sheet that I've been updating, but hey, I'll trust you.
You know better than I.
Well, hey, if we're gonna go with that one,
here on broadcast,
then both these two teams are 1-1 as it may end up beating. For Selaio Signs, they lost to Team War here, 181 to 250. They beat Team Nixa here, 250 to 208. And it's one of those things, again, that they've been able to find a lot of value in. We can take that win against Team Nixa with a grain of salt, because everybody's just been kind of wiping the floor with Nixa throughout the entirety of the EU Challengers Elite Season 3 so far. No shade to them, is that they were continuously outpacing them. What Team War did such a good job with throughout the entirety of that matchup was constantly enabling, or I guess disabling, any sort of flank antics coming all the way through. The first checkbox of the long laundry list to be able to deal with Selaio Signs on hardpoints is what we actually got to see there on the Berlin hardpoint as well. You shut down Cobra, this team becomes a non-benefactor, you would truly feel like, because then they rely on their SMG presence to be able to cause a lot of ruckus in towards the backline, which Ultra Academy EU had absolutely nothing to do with towards the second and then the inevitable third set of hardpoints. But here on Tuscan, the SMGs need to be lighting things up just as much as the ARs. No one role can cause more havoc than the next. Everybody needs to be firing off on all cylinders.
Alrighty, well, into this map we go. Selaio Signs now Start on the grass side. Technically speaking, the better side of the map to start on if you want to get that rotation over towards P2. But Ultra Academy, it won't be long before they try and break their way through. Beans able to pick up a couple of kills there with the rat, and it will now just be Gizmo left up on his lonesome as the rest of the squad will fall around him. But they should spawn over towards Fines. It won't be that far away from the hardpoint, so straight back in they go. The battle early on is a dogged one between these two rosters, but it is Ultra for now that are coming out on top.
Yeah, they sure are. Winning a handful of more gunfights as well. Furious, just playing with their food, is able to take down Cobra over by the monument side, and they're already starting to enforce a rotation, Brody. You got Beans in towards the back. Zon2 knows that there's one player on top of this God tank. Cobra should be looking at this because Beans is incredibly low. The regen is allowed to come through, and it's Mr. Instigator himself. Furious flies from behind, will break up the spawns, and Ultra Academy are turning scrap into initial.
Indeed, this is a really good setup early on here from Ultra Academy, and this is why you want to stay on that side of the map for the P1 or P2 rotation. But right now, to be fair, nades will come through. It will remove that player that was on Ultra from the hard point. So no more time, at least for the moment, being earned. But as I say, it's a wave of gunfights that light up purple inside the kill feed. Nadox is able to provide a little bit of resistance here, but the Selaio Steins, they're taking the long route in from behind. Deppa, the only one, going straight up towards the hard point from the church alley, and he is causing some serious problems for the Ultra roster, as now Beans, the last remaining player in the hard point, he will get taken down, stop short of 6 in a row. So Selaio Signs here, I mean, they are fighting for this scrap time. Just 20 seconds left, but they want to be conscious of that rotation here, Andy.
Yeah, you have to be conscious of that rotation. Again, and it's about enforcing the tile side of the map over by those rooftops. And going forward, Ultra Academy EU, they will be holding on to the favorite side of the map. And they also send Beans to finesse for scrap time. This might be a little bit of an overstep when you're considering it, because Deppa's already back here inside of Wine. But luckily enough for Ultra Academy EU, this is the only player that's pushed up to maybe cause a little bit of distress for the setup that is over here by 3. Would have been a big kill to be able to find onto Gizmo. Can't clean things up. You also have Beans, after finessing for scrap time, is just anchoring down the rooftop spawns. The hit from the front for Selaio Signs not going as well as they planned, but at least they're holding from the front for the time being is Cobra.
Yeah, Selaio Signs trying to fight this one from the front of the hard point, but Beans now has other ideas, looking for the gunfights inside fire. Able to just take down the one player as Deliver fires back with 2 of his own. Neither team at the moment being gifted any time off the back of this hard point, but as a wave of gunfights do come through for Ultra Academy EU, they should be the ones now to start to pick up some time from this hill. Can Selaio Signs still do anything about this? Still 20 seconds left, still not exactly time that they'll want to give away for free, and they will not do that as Deppa and Nadox slide through fire, take down both players, and that scrap time will now be theirs. But let's start to focus here on the rotation. Selaio Signs, technically speaking, they are the team that is here first, but Ultra Academy disrupting the spawns now, being sitting in the backline attack. And how about this for a break on the rotation before the hardpoint has even popped off?
Yeah, again, it's one of those things that Ultra Academy EU are just playing 4D chess. Just constantly just finding so much pressure, whether it's through tower positions, it just being able to commit towards flanks, just making sure the Selaio Signs never have any sort of numbers. And to be fair, Selaio Signs are kind of playing into this play, right? I mean, they're isolating themselves. A lot of 1v1 chows that are coming through for Ultra Academy or for Selaio Signs. They're not coming out on top of them. Deppa being 4-11 is a big problem. Needs to have a big turnaround, especially coming in towards B4. A very difficult hard point to be held, but Ultra Academy EU making a strong argument for it so far.
Alrighty, well, Selaio Signs now gonna get the scrap time. 20 seconds or so, that should close the gap somewhat. Won't fully close it between themselves and Ultra Academy EU. This rotation now will become all the more important here. But again, it's those initial gunfights that just seem to be going the way of Ultra Academy EU 9 out of 10 times. And they're even pushing players all the way forward here towards radio, towards the patio side. Furious throwing a very nice nade out. You've got the support of Gizmo inside radio as well. Selaio Signs, you have to break this early. You have to feel at this point in time because of the fact that Ultra Academy EU, they're really starting to put some serious distance between themselves and Selaio Signs now. But that wave of gunfights might start to apply all the pressure necessary. Vortex, the last remaining player inside, can he do anything? No. So Selaio Signs, they're broken in.
Broken in, though the contest is right around the corner. It's Furious that actually just comes running through the bottom. He gets a wipe, plus his teammate. It's just Deliver on the opposite side. Furious not done yet. Caught mid-weapon pickup. Nadox will find that kill. But the contest is very much so still here. 25 seconds of battle over. You know Selaio Signs don't want to lose this. They have no choice. They have to stay inside this hard point. 20 seconds could be crucial for Selaio Signs coming back inside this hard point.
Ultra still fighting for this one. A nice double nade coming out from Vortex as he picks up a third in a row, this time with the MP40 as well. So that'll clear things out for the last 10 seconds of scrap time. The distance between these two teams is consistently maintained, just 50 to 60 points. Selaio Signs, they need a good hold right now on towards this P1. Can they get it done? Furious pushing through grass, wants to kind of disrupt the process, as it were. Nobody's turned around. They expect Depper to come and deal with that gunfight, and in the process here, Ultra Academy, they've immediately found their way on in. What a break. And now for Selaio's side, you've got to push in through grass. You've got to go for a one-dimensional hit, and to be fair, a really nice nade from Deliver will remove Vortex from the hill.
35 seconds still to play over here on P1, and it's a double-edged sword when you're looking at the grander scheme of things for Selaio Signs. They have to make sure the middle of the map does not get pushed through, and it's actually opened up a little bit of an avenue for one Joey Gizmo to push all the way through. Off-screen gunfight might be coming through, but Joey's actually electing to come back through. They need to help out their teammates to be able to convert P1. Cobra turns and burns on to one Joey Gizmo, but even more so than that, what Selaio Signs have been able to do continuously is keeping P1 mixy, at least getting themselves some score lines, but most importantly, they've been able to hold on to the P2 spawn, something they were unable to do going in towards the first set of hardpoints, but you're still down horrendously. 45 seconds between these two teams going in towards P2. Selaio Signs need an emphatic hold here.
You do get the feeling, right, that this hold has to be important for Selaio Signs, and I've lost count of how many times we've said it here in this matchup. This needs to be important for Selaio Signs. Can they get it done? Depper towards the back line. He has so much to contest with, and Furious will be the player that comes out on top. The spawn's now in for Ultra Academy EU. You have to now break in if you're the Ultra side, but look at this. It's Beans with 35 seconds left on the hard point. That's still a ton of time to get. It's a locker worth of it, and Selaio Signs not winning a gunfight off the back of that Beans 3Ps. This is just time that Selaio Signs could not afford to give up. They don't really have too much choice in the matter. They might well get the last 20 seconds of scrap time here as Selaio Signs do break on through, but for Ultra, this is still a perfect position. Now look at the rotation as well.
Yeah, leader's advantage certainly starting to set on in. Selaio Signs slowly chipping away at the deficit that's currently being set in. Furious, big kill on a Cobra, will deny any sort of early rotation antics coming all the way through, but Nadox's position has been scouted out inside of the fire building. Will still win Furious's trade at the very least, but Ultra Academy EU, they have the closer numbers. They're going to be able to set up over by 3. They don't care about the scrap time. Selaio Signs can have it because, again, that 40-point lead is certainly being held. It's a rainy cloud over Selaio Signs' head. And if they don't break early here, this lead just might be too far gone for Selaio Signs to come back from in this series.
It might well be. Selaio Signs, they need something right about now, but the kill feed is completely Ultra Academy EU. Just the one player close by to do something about this, and it will be Depper, and he's currently just waiting. But I mean, you had the Arbiter, I think it was Vortex, who was sitting inside you, making sure that nobody from Selaio Signs crossed the middle of the map. There was one player, of course, that he couldn't account for, and that was Depper, who had already got past him. He disrupts the process for all but a moment here as Ultra Academy EU now backing towards the hard point. Back, stacking up some time. Cobra getting the rechow coming in from Gizmo, and now Furious in for the help as well. Every single second now that Selaio Signs let slip through their fingers is another second that will put Ultra Academy ever so closer to that victory, to that playoff spot. And now we focus on the rotation once again. Beans, who has been such a massive problem for Selaio Signs, he's here.
He's already here. The route man is getting paid because now the pressure from the front is here for Ultra Academy EU. They have not flipped the spawns. They finally dealt with Beans in towards the back. But Ultra Academy EU have the numbers inside the hardpoint, and Furious finds 3 in a row. Is still causing a ruckus in towards the back because Stevo's able to commit towards a flank. Just 19 seconds away, and Ultra Academy EU have solidified themselves a playoff run.
Yeah, Selaio Signs, you got to find your way on in, and you've got nobody around the side of the hard point. You've got to straight through the front of the church and literally pray that you manage to get these gunfights 10 seconds away from victory now or Ultra, but it's going to be Selaio Signs. They managed to get away with gunfights, so this time is still here for Ultra Academy to get on through, and they might well do it as well as Furious picks up 2, Vortex of another one as well. Selaio Signs have just given it away, the extra bullets into the body. Ultra Academy EU lock up a place inside playoffs.
They will indeed, Brody. They will absolutely punch their ticket into playoffs with a dub here, 3-1 win over Selaio Signs. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board, losing an integral game mode that is Search and Destroy in around 11, no less, to the 2 rounds that got bounced back. But boy, I tell you, they, I mean, I almost feel like that they're listening to me talk right now because they did not allow Selaio Signs to outpace them. It was Ultra Academy EU that were constantly berating them with pacing continuously through the middle of the map. Beans, the route man, going absolutely AWOL, making sure that they at least found rotational gunfights in their favor to be able to influence more flank potential that was coming through from Vortex. It is just fundamental hardpoint that has been exemplified by Ultra Academy EU in this final week of round robin play. Immediate and stark differences from what they look like in week number 1 specifically for you and me, Brody, it's something that you and I were constantly harping on them for, is that they were not always playing for the rotation. There was no route play to be able to be ensue there. It's Beans that picks it up because it was Harry that was doing it for them previously back in Season 2, and you can see what it means for the rest of the team. Vortex with the flanks. Furious just relentlessly striking up the gut through a lot of these hard points and walking away with highway robbery, sometimes killing teammates, sure, but those 3 pieces are so influential for the success to be able to be fully broken on in towards the hard point like what we just saw there at 4. They can hold through the front, they can get all of the kills galore, and boy howdy do I tell you, Ultra Academy E ran away with it with some of those different setups.
Yeah, indeed. Here's our final map set then for this best of 5. Apart from, as you say, that search and destroy that I think Toronto will be disappointed with the fact that they did end up losing it. It is going to be the 3-1 victory for Toronto. Of course, the hard point where I think we both agree, right? That very first hard point, it was just the one crucial rotation. Of course, P3 to P4, where Vortex made an incredible play to make the break early on that really set a difference between themselves and Selaio Signs. Of course, that search and destroy, though, around 11 victory for Selaio Signs. I think a bittersweet victory ultimately, but nonetheless, one that they will walk away with their heads held high. And then, of course, maps 3 and 4, I think a much more dominant showing here from Toronto Ultra Academy U and what we expect from this roster moving forward into playoffs. And ultimately, that's what this entire match was about, right? They just needed the one victory to guarantee it, so they didn't have to rely on everybody else. They have gotten that victory now, and they do it in 3-1 fashion. So congratulations to Toronto. They join AIM Esports in playoffs. Let's show you guys the standings right now. This is a graphic we haven't seen in a while, Andy, here on Clutch. We can show everybody kind of how everything looks right now. So as it currently stands, AIM 5-1, Team War 5-2. I'm going to go ahead and presume that means that they have just beaten Invincibles?
They did, yes. They beat Invincibles in map 4 on Bokash in a blistering hardpoint win, might I add, 250 to 153 after 3-0ing Invincibles on a Gavutu control, no less. The only map that Team War lost in that best of 5 series was on a Berlin hardpoint, of which they lost by 49 points. But yeah, and now you're really kind of looking at what might end up panning out here for us as far as playoff contention is concerned.
Yeah.
It's going to be very tight, I will say that much. It's mostly going to come down to Rocker Academy to be able to obviously win their series against AIM Esports. That is El Clasico at its finest. The Spaniards going up against each other, the 8 best players out of Spain. Well, I guess they're missing one. There's 9 good players out of Spain. Just one of them's playing for Toronto Ultra Academy NA. Slow plug there for young Vickle. But even still, it's one of those things, again, Rocker Academy actually have a chance to make it into playoffs because the one thing still resides that even if they do lose and they end at 4-3 themselves, Brody, they actually have the head-to-head over Team Invincibles. That, within its own self, means so much more than so many other different standpoints. So you're really hoping that AIM Esports are able to win this as convincing as possible if you are a Team Invincibles fans, for Team Invincibles to be able to make their way in towards playoffs. It's going to be close. It's going to be tight. I didn't work out the permutations. I didn't lose sleep over it as well. All I know is that it's very possible for both Rocker Academy and Invincibles to make it into the top 4.
I did work out the permutations. And unless I'm wrong, which is completely possible, we'll add an asterisk onto this, and I probably shouldn't even... yeah, there's there's always the possibility that I'm wrong, which does happen quite often. Rocker Academy are free. I'm pretty sure the way I worked it out was that Rocker Academy, they would qualify if they beat AIM by any score, or if they lost to AIM and Toronto beat Signs and War beat Invincibles, which both of those things have now happened. So obviously we'll wait for official confirmation. But as far as, obviously, and this is my sort of, as I said, I should probably let everybody know, I had like 3 hours sleep last night working this stuff out. I went through like 2 coffees. I had like a latte macchiato in my right hand, a cappuccino in my left, trying to work out what's going on with the permutations. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the case. We'll wait for the CDL to confirm exactly what is going on with that one. I believe it kind of makes everything a little bit anticlimactic for the Clasico. Regardless of what happens, Rocker Academy will now relax in that matchup that they do not have to be AIM. They are through no matter what. So celebrations for all the Spanish fans. Both your teams, you're getting through. Don't worry about it. Congratulations, guys. Very proud.
All 9 Spaniards in playoffs for Elite Season 3 playoffs because Vickle already solidified their position more or less going into North America. That'll be happening later this evening. But yeah, you're right. With Team War winning, with Toronto winning, Invincibles losing, Invincibles have been eliminated. That is a head-to-head that they are going to be potentially losing sleep over, much like yourself last night, Brody, that they are certainly going to be feeling over their heads. That 3-1 loss, that was actually the very first matchup for both Minnesota Rocker Academy and Invincibles to start things off. They only lost that one control, did Rocker Academy, but yeah, Gonna have El Clasico maybe twice on over as far as Season 3 is concerned. One happening over on the mainstream here just in a few moments, and then potentially down in playoffs depending on how seeding works out.
Yeah, well, we should say that as well. Right now, this is not the only broadcast going down. Of course, if you guys want to watch that Amy Sports versus Rocker Academy matchup, you can do so over at youtube.com/COD challenges. The wonderful folks that are Bryson Tunn are going to be casting that match in just a moment. So make sure you guys go check that out if you want to. Although, you might well desire a little face-off between Dizzy's Rascals and Nixa ACCL. Of course, both teams, as we already know now, since we know our 4 playoffs teams are already out. We knew that coming today anyway. So this is just really a match for fun to see how these guys will finish at the end of Season 3 of Challengers Elite. Before we get there, though, I think it's a good idea to send it to a break. When we return, we're going to have that match after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to Call of Duty Challenges, the co-stream here for Elite Season 3 brought to you by Clutch GG. We're about to get into the final match of Challenges Elite Season 3. It's Dizzy's Rascals going head-to-head with Nixa ACCL. My name's Infinity, joined by Proper on the desk. Andy, it's time for the final game of Season 3 here for Round Robin. These teams, it doesn't matter in the context of Season 3. These guys are out no matter what. I think this match does matter at the very least for Nixa, though, because they're looking for those all-important pro points for Toronto.
You just, come out right and say it. Just yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, for Nixa, it's everything. Because, I mean, to be able to get, the best practice possible, look, you're already going to Toronto. But you just spent the entirety of Season 3 of the Elite getting absolutely milliwatt. They have yet to win a series. They currently have only won 5 maps. And that says more than anything about a team that needs to have a strong running of things. They're going to the Toronto Open. You need to be able to have a strong showcasing here. And what a monumental win it would be to start things off with a win versus Dizzy's Rascals. And we'll have to see if they can come out on top of this Gavutu Hardpoint. Things not looking like it's starting off all too wonderfully for Nixa so far. They do have at least some semblance of numbers in this current position, but even more so than that doesn't mean that Dizzy's Rascals are any by shape or form done assaulting this first hardpoint.
Yeah, never far away from the hardpoint will be BB Connor as he picks up 1 kill, but does get traded on out. But ultimately, it will now be Dizzy's Rascals who are able to find themselves in for some time here. Now soaking up the remainder of that scrap time. Taking a look over towards Sean, though. Making his way towards that rock face, and he's now going to catch the one player off guard who thought that they had that rotation all cleared towards themselves. That will not be the case whatsoever, and that play here from Sean, he was still alive over towards this rock face area, does finally get shut down. Effectively make sure that here, the Nixa now going to be the first team on. Johnny W going to have to deal with the pressure now coming through from this Dizzy's Rascals side. Backing away for the moment here is Dizzy going to take him down. The trade's still in effect. There is still Dizzy's Rascals players over towards the point.
Yep. We'll still be over here. Got to be more than aware of this. Needs to be cleaned up. Runner is currently up top. Just needs to be able to hold down this position because their teammates down low just needs to be able to soak up hardpoint time. And one thing's cannot be done without the other. Clearing away the top side is a smart call from Nixa. They were able to find that kill. Now it's up to Runner to continue to finesse inside the hardpoint. And they have done quite a good job at that here in their 4th life. Currently on a 5 spree. Not only soaking up hardpoint time, looking for more. Whalers will cut them down. Majority of this hardpoint was soaked up by Nixa, but the most important part for Nixa being able to not only get hardpoint time is holding on to those P3 spawns, Brody.
The gunfight's going down in the middle of the map here for Nixa ACCL. Looking for this rotation. Brilliant start for Runner, by the way, who I think, statistically speaking, has been the best player for Nixa ACCL this season. Been a really good, I guess, positive thing to have on your team. As, well, Nixa going to be relying on him at the moment to hold inside this tank on the beach for the hardpoint time. Dizzy's Rascals trying to make their way across the anti-air gun. They do have control of that area at the very least, and Whalers getting that one gunfight on towards Sean means that an approach towards that beachfront should at least be possible. Nixa haven't quite looked to retain control of the point just yet. They're just holding a little bit back, and at the moment it feels like a Mexican standoff right for both of these teams. Neither wants to make the first move. Finally, Dizzy and Henry going to come through with a couple of kills, and that will mean Dizzy's Rascals now in a position position where they can fight Nixa from the backline. They will continue to spawn here, and this is great for the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it really is. Dizzy's Rascals being able to break through the front and holding it as well. Not only could they begin contesting this back 12 seconds, but you can also see what it means on the minimap. Whalers is just kicking their feet up over by the Radio Shack by P4. They can just hold the line. You're going to send BB Connor now to try maybe finesse for the scrap time. Finds Johnny W there with the wrap pistol. Still knowing, because shots are still coming through in between this arc, or this rock choke point, that there's still players for Nixa on that side of the map. Going forward off of this, it's going to be at least the guaranteed initial 15 here for Dizzy's Rascals, because Nixa need to fly across the map, need to push through the cliff path.
Whalers keeping an eye on this cliff path area as Runner now they're going to be the last player to take down. Of course, Johnny W also there from the middle of the map, and he will win one gunfight. So actually, Nixa once again here in a good position. Dizzy's Rascals, you'd imagine, I think they're kind of the opinion that these players will continue to spawn in the backline. That hasn't happened because BB Connor has pushed all the way up here. So BB Connor now looking to do some damage. A couple of kills there for Connor as he picks up both. And Dizzy's Rascals now back in for the last 20 seconds of time. For Nixa, I don't think you really want to put any more effort into this. Just focus on the rotation.
Yeah, you don't want to overextend yourselves, right? Because it could open up a flank, could open up an avenue, and those are all being currently locked down. Johnny needs to find this kill on the BB Connor. Is going to be able to find that for themselves, and that should at least guarantee the initial time here. But still, P4 being soaked up as much as it is. It's currently a 20-point lead in favor for these Rascals, but it takes about a solid 15 seconds to even move across this map. Not only just by full sprinting, but also through all the gunfights that you have to get through. Runner cutting players down through the at least the concrete staircase. It's going to be putting themselves in a good position, but you can see what that means for the spawns. Dizzy's Rascals north to south spawn has started to ensue.
I think the realization is there here for Nixa ACCL. In an eye on the back line as Snake able to win the first. The third kill is here as well as Runner is located. Whalers will fall, and that is a really good, I think, fundamental team play coming out from Nixa ACCL to make sure they recognize exactly where Dizzy's Rascals are going to be coming from. But now for Dizzy's Rascals, they're going to make their way on through. Henry able to pick up one. They will continue to spawn over towards the jungle side. Nixa well aware of that fact. Looking for all of these gunfights. Runner looking to make a mini flank happen to put a stop towards these Dizzy's Rascals players. He's only able to shut down one. It's going to be Dizzy's Rascals now in for the last 10 seconds of time if they can actually get a player in towards the point. I think now going to be looking more than anything to get a handle on this rotation as Nixa still have a couple of players over here. And with Johnny W winning that one, it is now just Henry left up. A nicely placed nade from Runner will take him down. And now Nixa ACCL, they're going to be the first team to touch on P1.
Crucial rotational gunfights, right? Because this is where P1 can turn into a money hill here on Gavutsu. It just comes down to being able to lock down these concrete stairs, making sure that players are pushed up, which Johnny W is doing wonderfully. Finds Henry. Is going to leave BB Connor, the only player left alive at the moment for Dizzy's Rascals, and maybe try to formulate some sort of push. But they have to deal with it from the back, and Johnny W is just smoking people left, right, and center. Finally, Whalers answers back with a double kill of their own, will overwhelm Runner inside of P1 itself. The job is not done. You have to soak up the back 20 seconds while also favoring yourself for these rotational gunfights, and they only are able to do the former here, Brody. You can see Nixa currently set up inside of LST. Johnny W zoning away the top side of green.
Johnny W has quite a bit to do here. Looks over towards Henry, over towards concrete steps, and gets distracted for the moment so that Dizzy can pick up that gunfight. So Dizzy's Rascals now have retained control of green. They've retained control of that side of the map for that inevitable rotation, but they kind of need to be focusing on the LST for the moment, and taking down Sean from the power position that he is in is probably going to be the first objective for this roster. He does get shut down by Henry in the middle of the map now. He's looking in a multitude of different directions to try and take down any Nixa players that attempt to initiate a flank, but that's not where those players are coming from ultimately. They're Nixa ACCL. They're pushing this one in a more standard way. They've gone through the rock face to make their way in towards the point, and now they have a threat in on the flank that is going to be Johnny W towards top radio tower. He's only able to get the one kill while Dizzy's Rascals are going to maintain control of that area. So Nixa here, while all this has gone down, while those gunfights over towards the tower have happened, they have got a lot of time off the LST.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this from Dizzy's Rascals' perspective, you're probably asking yourself, well, why not at least send one player for a finesse of scrap time? They have been trying to do that continuously through the previous hardpoints in this map number 1, and they've been losing out to routes and rotations. Look, immediately, one kill comes outside the concrete stairs. Yeah, it was traded out, but you almost had a Runner trying to cause a little bit of a ruckus coming into the backside of jungle. Luckily enough for the close spawns of Dizzy's Rascals, Henry will cut them down where they stand, and is also able to find one on the back end as well. So Dizzy's Rascals in for the initial time. It's about zoning away these players that are trying to formulate this push. You got Runner up by top ring. The other 3 players for Nixa ACCL trying to push to the backside of green.
Here those gunfights come. Sean looking to do some damage in the back line, but it's going to be Snake up front and honest about it, who gets that opening gunfight. BB Connor, the last remaining player, on towards the point, and he is shut down as well. So how about that for a quick break? Just 20 seconds or so given away here towards Dizzy's Rascals before Nixa are able to break their way on through. And now I think this becomes a lot more immediate here for Dizzy's Rascals. They know how quickly they do need to break on through. They still can't do it, even with Whalers looking to get the one kill. Dizzy's putting some shots in towards the tanker, makes Sean feel a little bit nervous inside the hard point, but now the rotation becomes all the more important. And Runner, playing ever so sneaky, has gone completely unnoticed here. It's time for him to go off. He doesn't actually notice the player inside the hard point. He himself, unaware, will be taken down.
Yeah, and it's so tough, right? Because Runner, you're right to almost have that sixth sense that maybe there was going to be a player from behind, but now it's going to be questioning that sixth sense going forward, as it was just the players on the front of the hard point. Dizzy's Rascals were setting themselves up for it in a forward position to maybe deal with the plays coming through from the top side of ring and the push coming through from the bottom side of the cliff path. But losing that one player on the north beach side is not the greatest thing, you would assume, because spawns have flipped. But now Dizzy's Rascals holding it from the front. This is where things can get nasty. Nixa is currently up as far as point value is concerned, but they are just running into the line of sight of Whalers, who's working up a 4 spree, looking for kill number 5, gets overwhelmed. Nixa finally break on in, and crucially at that could have been disgusting if Dizzy's Rascals held in that position.
And again, that's what the second or third crucial break that we've seen here from Nixa ACCL to really put them in a good position here in this game. Dizzy wants to prevent this last 10 seconds of scrap time going their way. I think it would actually mean something in the grand scheme of things as Nixa ACCL edge ever closer to that 250 point mark. But nonetheless, here we focus in on the rotation. It's Dizzy's Rascals who will be able to touch first. Now we need to see flawless hardpoint from this Dizzy's Rascals roster. And at the very least, in the moment here, they are in the best positions to make sure Nixa do not touch the point. Dizzy pushed forward all the way towards the rock face. Will pick up a couple of crucial engagements, makes the call out towards BB Connor that Johnny W will be coming his way from the LST ship. And BB Connor, how ready is he for these gunfights? Dizzy's Rascals trying to hold on here, Andy.
And they're also counting nameplates and numbers. Look at the red arrows on the minimap as well. They're more than aware that Sean is back there, but not until Sean at least finds one. That'll give Johnny W the open opportunity to push through inside of top green where they find yet another kill, but it's not enough. They won't be able to break up towards the spawns. 20 seconds still at the play here. Nixa can absolutely still close it out, and they're more than aware of that. But Snake pushes just a little bit too aggressively without their teammates' assistance, and they might have gotten overwhelmed, but here comes the final push. Still not enough time for Nixa to close things out. And with Dizzy's Rascals soaking up the back end of the scrap time, they'll make this just about a dead even game going in towards this P1 rotation. Big rotational gunfights coming through here, Brody.
And that was a lot of effort to put in there for Dizzy's Rascals and Rex Nixa ACCL right now. We're all dead even going on to this next rotation. Runner and Snake going to combine for 3, though. They will have the opening say here as we make our way towards P1. Might that be enough? And I think it might be as Sean pushes all the way up towards the cut. You've also got players watching the concrete steps as well. Can anybody from Dizzy's Rascals find their way in? No, they can't. Nixa ACCL, they recognize how important that rotation is. They will almost let it go. It was a risky play to push in for the last 15 seconds. I know they could win it, but I mean, there's very little chance of them doing it there. So very fortunate, I think, to win those rotational battles in their favor. They'll walk away with a map-norm victory.
But you know me, Brody. I gotta be overcritical about it because, yes, they got away with it here against Dizzy's Rascals, who, again, had 2 players already formulating the push over towards the rotation over by ring. That if you egregiously push over for that scrap time, yes, again, you might have been able to close it there on 5. But then you're maybe kind of leaving yourself peg-like, going over towards that P1 rotation that any other better team, your Ultra Academy EU, your AIM Esports, Rocker, Team War for that matter, they would have absolutely milli-whopped you on that rotation from the beach side. You had the seawall hold in Dizzy's favor. It just came down to being able to win one more gunfight, which some other teams might have been able to reinforce rather than setting another player to try to finesse for scrap time, knowing that it was going to extend over towards a P1 rotation. It's very sloppy coming through from Nixa. Yes, it was a map 1 win, but it could have been a whole lot cleaner coming all the way through on the back end of that P5 rotation. You have the leader's advantage, and although things might have been flipped, you could have gone all in, just hold a player top 3rd on LST ship and send 3 players in towards ring. Not even kind of play with your food a little bit, just deal with the players trying to rotate in from the P3 side of things and just be able to give yourself a guaranteed win. There was no reason to play the gamble role there to give these Rascals the chance of hope to be able to work their way back into the game and potentially win it.
Yeah, I just feel like for both teams there, it was just a bit of a mistake-filled final few moments, right? I mean, fair enough, it came down to kind of the battle on P1, but, you know, you kind of expect in that situation Dizzy's Rascals to be like, oh, hey, you know, we can push over towards beach completely uncontested, and they didn't do that. Nixa ACCL, obviously, as we've already said, I think, extensively, I think they definitely should not have pushed those last few seconds, albeit, you know, you could still take away a few seconds off the scrap time. just focus on new. It would be a lot easier for them. But nonetheless, mistakes aside, Nixa ACCL, they will be walking away with map number 1 victory here. A very close one at that. And we can take a look at the stat lines to show you guys why they were so successful. And it ultimately, I think we were noting it in the middle of the match, does come down a lot to Runner and Johnny W, doesn't it? The AR pressure for Nixa ACCL that definitely boiled over against Dizzy's Rascals, especially Runner, by the way, who just, we've noted it already. We've casted over this Nixa ACCL roster in the past, formerly known, of course, as Mistaken. They were one of the first matches that we got to see at the very, very beginning of the season when they kind of came out swinging versus Toronto Ultra. Runner, I think, has always been a staple player. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by what we've seen from him this season because I think he's consistently been performing, and this is yet again another positive performance from him.
Yeah, living up to his namesake, right? Running, getting those routes, being 4-related, only had 4 traded kills there for the 31 that was found in total, and it's on that mount combination. Again, former Mistaken, now known as Nixa ACCL. They were able to actually get the best of Ultra Academy EU in that first very matchup that they played. So, yeah, love to be able to see them coming into their own and getting value with it as well, because all that needs to be exemplified through this best of 5 series with the Berlin Search and Destroy. Routes can be found, angles could be held, and that could mean first blood plus the second soon to follow when you get a player trying to force out that trade. Specifically for Dizzy's Rascals on a Berlin Search and Destroy, they are 2-2 overall, walking with a 6-4 win, the only map that they had won against that AIM Esports roster just yesterday, Brody. Though on the opposite side here for this Nixa ACCL roster, Berlin Search and Destroy has been lackluster. Well, all Search and Destroy really has, apart from Tuscan. They are 0-2 on it. They lost to AIM Esports 4-6 and Ultra Academy EU in that best of 5 series where they lost 3-6.
Alrighty, well, this is interesting, right? Because as we go towards the Search and Destroy, again, we kind of had that conversation with Nixa at the very beginning of the season, and we were knowing how good they looked in Hardpoint versus Toronto, and they were like, well, yeah, we were kind of surprised, because Search and Destroy is our game mode. It's the game mode we expect to be strong in, so we're going to expect to see that performance here from Nixa ACCL on towards this matchup versus Dizzy's Rascals. They do end up drawing first blood, but Whalers has traded things out, and now here for Dizzy with the bomb. Where did Dizzy's Rascals want to take this? It's the rotation over towards A.
It's a rotation over towards A indeed, and Nixa are completely unaware of this. They're still set up for a B defense. You have a player pushed up as Johnny W inside of the male cut. The only player that's going to be in an immediate position to deal with this, you see through the X-ray, is going to be Snake.
Snake hasn't moved just yet as well. Now he definitely will not be moving anymore as his body gets taken down here by BB Connor. So Johnny W and Sean left up here in the 2 versus 3. They don't know where Johnny is. But now the entry in towards the site, I think they might. Dizzy is surely going to deal with him. He's up top in that position. Johnny W wins the gunfight. You can't let that happen, Dizzy. No way! And now Whalers in the 1 versus 2. Fortunately for him, now he is defending the bomb site, so has that to his advantage. But a little bit of noise will be made there as he smashes through the door. They should know where he is, and they're going to double team him as well. Whalers will fall, and Nixa with the retake. But Johnny W, I think, most certainly responsible for that.
Johnny had no business getting that kill on a Dizzy. Dizzy should have been able to lock down that kill. I believe had an MP40 against an AR in that position. And no shade to ARs or SMGs, but that was a close-range battle, and to the title of Vanguard, it definitely suggests that the MP40 should absolutely win those gunfights, just finessing around the barricade inside of the office and playing a little bit with a pillar inside of the small room as well. Gets the better of Dizzy in that gunfight, and then, yeah, as you said, beautiful double challenge coming through there at the end from Johnny and Sean, just fully aware of where the last player was located at. So being able to not only play against the clock, but being able to isolate these players. I'll see Nixa on an offense suggesting that they want to try to push over towards B. Now, some shots are already being thrown down from Johnny inside of the B hut. They'd be right to assume that there's a player in there. It is Dizzy trying to play in the 1-for-1 position. Nixa want nothing to do with it. They're quickly rotating over towards A.
Yeah, this is not a bad play, actually, from Dizzy's Rascals, I think, overall, in terms of the defense. It's a good setup to have, but for Nixa, they seem to play around it. They want to look over towards A. Do they realize about Henry's positioning, though? That is going to be the question. I don't think they do. Henry might be able to catch these players off guard, and here we go. Here it is. Henry pulling off the play, gets the first kill, gets the second as well. Whalers with number 3, and what a pop-off there from Henry. Now just Snake left up in a 1 versus 4. It was Johnny W in the last round here for Nixa ACCL. It's Henry in this one for Dizzy's Rascals.
Yeah, fantastically played there. And just being able to force out the rotation. Nixa wanted nothing to do with that push going inside the B hut. The potential to play for a 1-for-1. They had no information immediately onto an AR or maybe even a sniper rifle that was watching this B lane. They immediately just try to rotate over towards A, where you just had players just lying awake. Henry is one of those players that is able to combine for 2. Whalers for the last. Getting things up here 1 apiece. Now Dizzy's Rascals for another offensive attempt here. Players inside of male. The bomb being carried by Dizzy. suggesting that they're waiting for the go to try to get themselves inside of B. They've already struck away one player, but it's Runner who's holding the angle for first.
And that's tough, isn't it? Because now, getting down at the bomb at B seems like a prospect that might well just be out of reach for you. It certainly feels that way for Dizzy's Rascals here as they start to look at the prospect of rotating over towards A. They will have to get Johnny W to get it done, but I think Johnny might have actually just kind of found his way with the perfect path. He will finally get taken down, though. And there is now, I mean, obviously they don't know this. There is now a perfect path here, completely clean for Dizzy's Rascals to rotate over towards A, depending on how quickly they make this happen. I think they're being very apprehensive, and in doing so, they've given a little bit of breathing room towards Snake. Just waiting. Ready to strike, living up towards his name, looking for the kill versus Connor. He will not get it. The stun might do it, but it will not. The nade, is that going to do it? The shot's in, and finally Snake takes down BB Connor. Players still up here for Dizzy Rascals, though.
I was wondering when Henry was going to get activated. I mean, they knew that Snake was back there, the stun, the shots, and everything else in between. Henry needed to be able to push that for the trade a whole lot quicker, and you can see it comes back to bite them in the rear end. Snake bought so much time for the rotation to come all the way through. He saw the first on the bomb site, obviously that the other players are going to be there, and buying time allowed the other two players for Nixa XACCL to be able to rotate off of their B hold and come back through the middle of the map through fire to be able to reinforce that A defense that Snake had started for their team. It's very questionable what the comms were almost like for Dizzy's Rascals in the heat of the moment when Snake was just throwing shots, plus the stun and then the nade soon to follow, that why it took Henry so long to be able to push for that trade. Questions aside, it's a one-round lead here for Nixa ACCL, trying to aggressively push their way inside of B. Dizzy got tagged with a nade. You know Nixa are licking their lips trying to get that first blood, but they'll find it on the Whalers.
Sean being very cautious about that somebody might come out the window, and that's Call of Duty time and fear as well, as Sean backs away at the exact moment that Dizzy's going to take him down. So now 3-for-3 we go, and this is a tough one, I think, for Nixa ACCL, as they've now got to retrieve the bomb from inside B site. Johnny W, not a care in the world, just sliced through. To be fair, he doesn't exactly have anybody to contest with. Dizzy and Henry are pushed back towards the dock side. This bomb will now go down. Runner providing the necessary support as he looks up towards fire. BB Connor going to take some shots into the back of the head. Will survive it momentarily. Now for Dizzy's Rascals. Got to find a retake. Johnny W inside the site does get sieged, so now he is down. 2v3 we go. Nixa ACCL, they've got the back positioning. A lot of time to kind of waste off the clock here. Dizzy's Rascals, they need to sprint towards this warehouse side and take these players down. Runner with a reposition. Does he outplay these players? Does he outsmart them? Yes, he does. The one kill against Dizzy is there. Snake wins his 1v1 as well. And now it is just up to Henry in the 1 versus 2. All they got to do here, Nixa, is stop that bomb from being defused. Henry, I mean, look, he's away here. I think if I'm Runner, though, 5 in a row, I play cautious as ever.
Yeah, you don't want to be traded out. Does see Henry last second, can't get the kill, but still on that 5 spree regardless. And yeah, you're right to call out just those individual 1v1s. The 3v2 for a retake needs to come through super lightning fast, but the ARs on the backside of Warehouse just continuously reposition after reposition, just waiting for the challenges to come through the windows because they are more than aware we're Nixa ACCL in a post-plant situation that Dizzy's Rascals need to aggressively push their way inside of the warehouse to deal with those post-plant situations. They got the first inside of the B hut. Those doors being blown off, they know what the clutch factor is. Couldn't find it against the clock. 2-round lead here for Nixa. Aggressive positioning coming through from Sean. They're already past the front door of Mail.
Maybe Sean is the player here to do something about this. Nixa, he gets Whalers and gets... Oh, I thought he was going to get away there. Dizzy's going to punish him for it. 3-for-3 we go. Dizzy's Rascals have a fair few eggs and a fair few baskets, but Henry, fortunately, that egg will be hatched a little bit prematurely. He will fall. And now for Dizzy's Rascals, a little bit more one-dimensional here in the play. It's BB Connor able to pick up 2. Trade will come through for Johnny W, so 1v1 we go. Dizzy, the rookie for Season 3 here of Challengers Elite, versus a somewhat veteran player in Johnny W. Johnny just going to throw the nade in. That'll be the information game, but he does actually get the tag here, so now he's just waiting for Dizzy. Just saw him cross over, and now Johnny W, can he win the 1v1 with just the gun skill? Dizzy on the other side of the bomb site, though, use that head height glitch to win the gunfight. And Dizzy's Rascals are not going to give Nixa a massive lead here.
Let's not go understated. That is such a massive round win when you're looking at the grander scheme of things here for Dizzy's Rascals, the namesake for the team. Dizzy being able to win the 1v1 versus Johnny W, who did have all of the information in the world. Immediate angle that was being held. But yeah, that bomb head glitch is a nasty one. Don't want to be going down 1-4 to Nixa ACCL, who have been playing with a certain amount of a gusto in this search and destroy. See if any adaptations start coming through to be able to deny these aggressive offensive attempts, as it's moving its way over towards A.
Very aggressive here from Nixa ACCL. Johnny W putting together the flank. 1, 2. Just like that, Johnny W. And this puts the round very much in favor of Nixa ACCL, doesn't it? As Dizzy's Rascals here. I mean, what? Whalers, Dizzy. Whalers is trying to look for the angle, but you can see Johnny W scouting it out perfectly. Dizzy, 1v4. Got the 1v1 in the last round, but this is a very different kettle of fish. Johnny W walks over an ace.
Yep, big ace coming through again. Just played with the information at hand. The aggressive play push pans out. Got 2 players that immediately push through the window, the glass staircase. Just cause a little bit of a ruckus. Those 2 players defensively inside of the offices of the train station just all look towards that front door. Johnny W finding the first and finessing for the second out and in of the window. From there on out, the third just saw Whalers just trying to break the window. Once that well blew up, Johnny was already holding the angle. We saw that as soon as we hopped away from their perspective. By proxy, found the fourth. Need an answer here for Dizzy's Rascals, who are moving their virtues over towards this AS&D.
Once again, we're seeing the aggression coming out from Dizzy's Rascals now. Trying to contend what we saw from Nixa ACCL in that prior round. This time, though, a little bit less contention coming through from Nixa ACCL on the defense, as both Runner and Sean going to fall foul to a beautiful push from BB Connor towards Broken. So, 2v4, it's what we saw from Dizzy's Rascals in the last round. Now make it a 1v4. It's Snake who has to pull off the heroics, and he will pick up the first blood. There isn't any immediate trade coming through, but he has to contest with the time as well and not give any information away for 3. I think BB Connor might have just seen him as well, and there you go. BB Connor takes him down. There's not really much that Snake can actually do in that situation.
No, not unless, for some odd reason, Dizzy's Rascals just continuously throw shoulders to the last known whereabouts of Snake, who, again, every single time for an A defense is always playing on the backside of lobby, and BB Connor more aware of that. 3v1, goes for the full flank, clears away the backside of fire, gets in behind the play there from Snake for any sort of clutch potential. Would have been tough to say the least. And BB Connor answers with an ace of their own. 4 coming away from that round. Trying to bring Dizzy's Rascals back into this search and destroy. Trying to even things up here. It's another aggressive A hit coming through from Nixa.
This time, maybe Dizzy's Rascals are ready for it. Henry's already inside the office. Got the paperwork ready to go. Now got to file it. All that utility coming out. Henry's just going to play this one sneaky as you like. Surely Sean's going to come in for the check. I don't think he's actually spotted out Henry, though. So Henry should be able to strike here. There's number 1, but Runner going to take him down. So the trade is in effect. Still, though, the bomb plant has been prevented momentarily now. BB Connor, can he get anything off the back of this? No, he can't. But the flank play from Dizzy is also shut down there by Snake. So this bomb now goes down. And it's Whalers in the 1 versus 3. Not much he can do. The bomb is already down. And Nixa put themselves on the map point.
Yeah, massive round coming through again for Nixa. Again, 3 players aggressively heading towards A. Who's that player lingering behind? It was Snake. Big shout-outs to our observer Major in the lobby being able to showcase that where their whereabouts were located at. Just watching that cross the entirety of the time through the P5 lane. Just waiting for any flanking players, and boy howdy does patience pay off, being able to shut down that flank play that Dizzy was trying to manifest for themselves, who more often than not plays inside that B hut. So, map point here for Nixa to try to put themselves up 2-0 inside the series. Another A hit coming through from Dizzy's Rascals. It worked the previous round. Why not try it again?
Yeah, but again, this time you're seeing that aggression come out from Nixa ACCL. Johnny W has already drawn first blood in this one. Dizzy going to catch him off guard, though. Now Sean on the flank, able to pick up 1. Henry has already been stunned, so most certainly found out, and there will be no trade coming through if he does fall, but he does get Call of Duty timing. They have no idea where Henry has just escaped to, and now Henry's got the bomb as well. So this is actually not a terrible position, but he needs to hurry up here because he has no idea where these Nix's players are. Henry catches Sean off guard, and now 2 for 2 we go.
All Runner playing coy inside of the mail scoop. Henry's going to be able to find at least a trade on a Snake. The last known whereabouts was that Runner was over by P5, hits the route on the front side of the train station, and catches the last player off guard after the reload comes through. 6-3 the scoreline there for Nixa. They'll take a 2-0 lead in the series.
Well. Nixa now 2-0 up against Dizzy's Rascals here. I'll be feeling pretty confident now in this best of 5. Again, I know that ultimately speaking, this is really just a fight for pro points for this Nixa ACCL roster, but nonetheless, I think this is a good way to go out to take a roster down that I still think overall, we should say, Dizzy's Rascals, I mean, what? We've seen they got 4th place, technically speaking, albeit with Abuser instead of Dizzy, the namesake for this team. Last season, So they're a good name, I think, to take down for Nix's ACCL. They'll be very happy with this one, Andy, right now. But that search and destroy, I think, for both teams, to be fair, they both had their moments, and there was a lot of individual clutches that we saw.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of forcing out 1v1 situations. I mean, you could talk continuously, although Snake didn't have the sexiest KD ratio in the world, was playing that AR role so wonderfully, being that sole guardian defender by the AS and D side, continuously finding a lot of value, catching Dizzy's Rascals in a lot of moments of hesitation, not to mention how Johnny W, they walk away with that ace. BB Connor answers back with the round soon after, but Runner, man, 10-4, double positive, 1,200 damage in total to walk away from, averaging about 125 damage a round, goes with 7 non-traded kills to boot, is just living up to their name and continuing on with their antics that were coming away from that Kavutu hardpoint, right? Where they're just continuously finding themselves certain routes, finding these different side angles, combining that along with last known information for players, as well as any sort of teammates that are left alive to be able to stop any sort of solidified post plant or defensive setups.
Alrighty, well, look, there is a bright spot in this one for Dizzy's Rascals now, right, as we can take a look over towards, as you say, that stat lines you already pointed out, kind of what has gone on here. Again, it's Runner and Johnny W, the highest performing players from Nixa ACCL, continuing that dominance from the hardpoint. But yeah, there is a bright spot, I think, as we transition over towards our best of 5 here, and we can see Nixa ACCL currently 2-0 up in the series. The next map they're playing, or the next mode they're playing, of course, as is always the case when it comes to map number 3, will be a control. And the good news here for the Dizzy's Rascals roster is that Nixa ACCL haven't won a control this season. So look, this is maybe the chance to turn around the series, right?
Now, that said, I agree with you. They haven't won a single control. All
Don't
6
butt
of
me,
their
Andy. Don't do it.
I'm gonna do it. They've only played Gavutu, Brody. And Gavutu itself, as far as a control map, who would have thought, plays starkly different than a Berlin Control. Berlin Control itself, especially with the speed, violence, and momentum that we have seen coming out from this Nixa squad so far, it suggests that they could be quite adept at this map mode combination comparatively to Gavutu. When we watch them on Gavutu, they're kind of getting gunned, they're getting spawn trapped continuously, trying to run routes. Those routes don't end up coming to be. Their best look, of course, was against Rocker Academy, at least pushing to a round number 5, but they did not get enough tick progression to be able to get that defensive side. Dizzy's Rascals, on the other hand, they are 1-1 on this map mode combination. They have a 3-1 win versus Selaio Signs, and they did lose to Ultra Academy EU here in a round number 5 again, just unable to get that last tick progression. I do remember that very vividly in that 4th round against Ultra Academy EU, had to win back-to-back offensive rounds. So we'll have to see which caster is right. Dizzy's Rascals can almost put themselves on the border of Nixa ACCL, are going to feel a lot more comfortable on a close, tight-knit map that is Berlin Control.
I do like this play here, right out from Nixa ACCL. Always have these conversations about kind of whether or not you want to go to B straight off the rip. It's a lot of effort to be putting into it because you need to make sure that if it does fail, you have that A push to fall back on. That hasn't necessarily happened because Dizzy's Rascals do have the one player that's pushed all the way up inside Broken, and now they're looking to re-get control here of the train station as well. They haven't quite accounted for Snake, though, who was able to come in from behind, assist Runner with that one gunfight versus Henry. One more kill coming through from Johnny W as well, and Nixa ACCL, they still have their heart set on this B control zone. They've just got to take a couple more players down to get it done, and the gunfights are won inside the control zone.
He'll be traded out there. You still have to worry about Dizzy from behind, and Sean is more than aware of that. Comes from behind, is able to take down Henry, and Runner takes down Dizzy from inside the zone itself, but the close spawns for the defense, just too close indeed. Now, the last-ditch attempt coming through from Johnny W, trying to again assault over by the B zone. This is a very isolated play. You still have Nixa members, specifically Snake, trying to tack on progression up inside of the A zone. Does find one up top, combined with Runner, who actually gets the final blow, and then we'll get the trade on the for Snake there. It's on to one more player. So A zone quickly being tacked on. You have 2 players over here, our Runner and Sean, not double stacking it though. So this progression is slowly working its way up. Dizzy's Rascals might have an opportunity to maybe try to reassault this, but do you even want to? You might have to throw a couple more lives away at it. You're already down by 4.
Nixa ACCL. They are going to get A, regardless of what happens here. And as you say, Dizzy's Rascals, I think that's down to the fact they didn't want to throw any more utility at this hard point, or at this control zone, excuse me. So just B now for Nixa ACCL. They've had a couple attempts at it. It hasn't exactly gone well thus far. Now can they get map control as Wayless will reveal himself in the middle of the map. Still starting to come through for Nixa, but it will last all but a fleeting moment. Wayless still alive here. 3 in a row for the Frenchman. Henry follows up with another kill against Snake, and now for Dizzy's Rascals, it's about holding these guys back as much as possible. Henry pushing up all the way towards the back train car now. You need to remove him from that position. If you're a Nixa, you're able to do so, but this is a dangerous position. It is very easy to find yourself kind of spawn trapped for the remainder of this control.
Yeah, and again, this is where Nixa have truly struggled in previous control maps, specifically on Kavutu, is working out from a spawn trap scenario, but you're able to slip the net, though. You can see player number 4 on the minimap is Johnny W, and I think they might have been scouted out by Dizzy, but trades are going to continuously be good. Look, you're already under 1 minute. You've already nullified the lead advantage that Nixa had as far as lives are remaining. But the biggest concern is that Dizzy's Rascals are going all in by holding this B zone from the front side of the office. They're completely not unaware that the flank could be coming through. Whalers is already set up for it, finding one. The second comes through as well. The push immediately stuffed.
Now might well be the dagger here in this one, unless Runner can pull off something special. He is going to play his life, at least momentarily, but doesn't have the support, and that's ultimately the problem, isn't it, as Henry does take him down. Snake, maybe the last player who could do something about this, is going to remove the one player from the signal tower, looking for the second on towards Henry. A snap and a half if he can get the gunfight, but time dwindling down. Most certainly not on his side. Looking for the kill, will end up finding it, but there's no chance now anybody from Nixa is going to touch the point as Dizzy's Rascals, they walk away with that round number 1 victory.
Yeah, and you're really going to be frustrated if you are Nixa, right? Because you had 2 players maybe in a prime position to maybe get a couple of ticks of progression, maybe at least just one over by the B zone, but again, the angles being held just a little bit too one-dimensional for my liking, and Dizzy's Rascals are able to collect off of those gunfights and being able to stuff that 1 tick of progression over by B, completely resetting it. A-zone, yes, did get fully captured, but, I mean, what felt like about a 45-second hold in towards the spawn of Nixa going to pay dividends quite wonderfully here going forward. That stun got a lot of information. You can see what it means for Nixa. Loves to aggress on forward, even inside the A-zone. They hit it. Snake finds the first. They're unable to collect on these players, these 3 players for Dizzy's Rascals in towards the backside of B.
Dizzy's Rascals, they have got those couple of players, as you say, in towards B. Runner wants to put a stop to this one, has Johnny W on the other side of the zone, and, well, there's the kills coming on through. Johnny W hasn't quite been as effective as he would have liked. Finally will take down BB Connor. So they remove the players from the point, but not before that first tick of progression will come through on towards B. Dizzy's Rascals will be very happy with the fact, because now, of course, that puts them at a native advantage over Nixa or ACCL for that potential round number 5. But back towards the plays here that are going down between these 2 teams. Nixa or ACCL, they've regained control of B. Now really starting to try and get map control here. Dizzy's Rascals, though, they're on A, and they're capturing the zone.
Able to get a full capture here would put them natively ahead of Nixa, as you were able to say. Just 3 ticks of progression do Nixa have in their bank. Runner might be aware of this to try to make the play happen, but the issue is that you already have Whalers slipping the net, getting on the backside of B. Now, they did clean the players up over by A, so the full capture doesn't come through. But even more so, you got to be able to deal with these players that are working on the flank. It's going to be Henry on the upper courtyard. Player number 4 is going to be Johnny W. There's going to be tasked to do this. On board with Runner, deals with Whalers inside the zone itself, not before that second tick comes through.
And that's a big stop as well. A millisecond or 2 later, and the second tick of progression does come through, and that's not really good, especially when there's so much time left on the clock here in this game.
Right.
These Rascals starting to get back towards A. They win the necessary gunfights once again, and they even have players like Dizzy who pushed up in towards Broken. I think that's the ultimate problem here, is that there's constantly players from Dizzy's Rascals that are being an annoyance towards this Nixa or ACCL side. Henry once again getting aggressive towards the frame platform. You've also got Whalers over here once again. A has fallen by the wayside. That 1 tick of progression looming over Nixa or ACCL now, as they will want to hold on. There is one perhaps light left in this one, and that's Runner on a fry spree.
Be massive if Runner can get themselves a glide bomb, but just as soon as you call it, and you have been on one with Season 3 so far, Brody. I'm not going to lie. I mean, calling on players for streaks, you should just stop doing it. You're cursing so many players. 17-7, though, is an amazing KD ratio, as Runner off the respawn is able to find at least one inside of the B zone. You want this full capture to not come through. That's the difference in between Dizzy's Rascals getting an abundance of tick progression lead, but you might not have a big say in the matter. They're not winning the gunfights. Nixa have to challenge this from the back.
And Snake's going to win the 1 gunfight. Johnny W another one as well. BB Connor towards the outside of the zone will pick up 1, and that's enough, to be fair, because now the contention's coming through. Whalers has 1-1. This second tick might well come through if Whalers can win the 1v1 against Sean, and they do, but these players will not stop at anything to get way back in towards the control zone. 6v8 in terms of life. Dizzy Rascals have the advantage, and now Henry in from behind. He's able to get 1. Johnny W over towards the corner office. He will get the 1 kill, but no respawns remaining now for Nixa or ACCL. They have to be perfect from here on out. Time is really not a factor at this point. They just have to find themselves in corners, and Whalers picks up 2. It's Snake and Johnny W now. Can you clutch up? You find yourselves in a perpetual 2 versus 4. These players need to go huge. Whalers on the outside has the support of Dizzy, and Johnny W, he wins the one gunfight. Looking for the second as well, will not find it. The gunfight won from inside the train station. Dizzy's Rascals looking very confident here in control.
I don't know how they wouldn't be when they're just winning out on the trades or catching all of Nixa ACCL on individual challenges in 1-for-1 positions, and they're just collecting off of so many different positions that are egregiously being held by Nixa, one of which is going to be Sean, the other of Snake. ARs are just absolutely lighting them ablaze coming through from Dizzy's Rascals. And Johnny W this time around, comparatively to what we saw in the Berlin S&D and the Kabuto Hardpoint, is a non-benefactor. Gunfights off the rip. Again, Nixa ACCL trying to go for broke over by B. They're down horrendously, Brody. Look, they're down for tick progression. They're down by 2 rounds. I don't like this call to go for B off the rip because now the spawn trap might come through.
Whalers watching these players as they make their way across. That's a lot of information that will be given over towards Dizzy's Rascals, and this is perhaps the most indomitable round we've seen thus far from Dizzy's Rascals. Maybe Dizzy can lose control of train platform, and that will give something away to Nixa ACCL, but there are still players here as kind of backstop, if you will, that prevent the players from moving any further forward. And, well, you see it exactly there. BB Connor able to win the one gunfight. Dizzy's Rascals sending players over towards B, but at the very least, some pressure has now been alleviated. You're seeing Nixa ACCL make their way over towards A, and Snake now, he's on the point, capturing the zone. You've got Nixa players around the point as well, providing some of those support in gunfights, and Nixa at the very least here are starting to make some progress.
Sean in a big corner play here. Oh, the timing's not going to be able to see Henry cross. That information would have been crucial, especially for Runner, who was watching inside of the A zone itself. You still got Henry back here, by the way, activated, is able to take down Snake, is still going massive in towards the back. Johnny W will finally find that trade. Not before you're able to at least get that A zone all the way through. And Sean's also on a big play inside of the offices, will be traded on the way out. When a massive play would have been for Sean to be able to get that first tick of progression. It does not come through, but the full A-zone conversion does for Nixa. They'll add 60 seconds add it on towards the board, so they still have a life deficit they have to battle through.
I do kind of like that play overall from Nixa. You know, we'll say this much, you know, being proactive, you know, they just put one player on towards A to finish up the capture. So nicely done from Nixa. It just doesn't work out in the end, and now they go back towards square one, which is of course going to be the respawn point towards back warehouse. They might well find themselves in the situation once again where Dizzy's Rascals have implemented the spawn trap. That's at least what they're trying to do, but Henry and BB Connor will both fall. Dizzy's now the last player pushed up towards that broken side to make sure Nixa do not get past the starting point, and here we go. Nixa might well they break out of this spawn point. Well, Runner will end up falling, so now just down to Johnny W and Snake to try to make your way towards the point. Whalers on the outside trying to play his life as much as humanly possible. He does end up falling, but once again, it is just 2 players here from Nixa to try and make their way towards the point. They also, too, technically speaking, have Sean on the flank. But 7 versus 10 here, Andy. This is going to be tough.
Going to be tough again, and Sean is getting flanked at the flank, so they're just going to have to post up in this corner, just expect more players to come all the way through. More or less, they just have to hold this line and wait for their teammates to come off the respawn. They simply cannot have that happen, so Dizzy takes them down, and they're set up inside the B zone. No respawns remaining. This is the last possible push for Nixa in the Berlin control.
Got to do it now. 20 seconds left here. Has to be perfect as well. Snake able to get the first kill. That bodes well for this Nixa roster. Johnny W with another one as well. So now Whalers and Henry just to take down. This is not a bad position, especially as you have the one player on the flank as well. That's going to be Sean. The kills are coming through here. 3 versus 4. The progression's starting to come through as well. Nixa really applying all of this pressure, but Whalers picks up a couple of gunfights. Snake need now to go huge here at the front of the control zone. He's facing pressure from outside. Dizzy able to take him down. Now just Runner in a 1 versus 2 to clutch up. Has to spot out these players and has done. Now starting to put some pressure on the point, but needs to turn around, and can he do it in time? He makes the call. He knows where these players are coming from, but they're going to double team him. He will fall, and Dizzy's Rascals a 3-0 in control to extend the series.
Yeah, I mean, that was just such a big brain play for Dizzy's Rascals coming through there in a 2v1. It's so minute, but it's just so big brain. Recognizing, look, it's a 2v1. Let's just flip it out, because you even saw there from Runner's perspective there at the very end. At least they had the one read on the Whalers inside of the glass paneling, but no immediate information nor knowledge where the second player was going to be located at, because they didn't see the challenge come through over by the concourse staircase. With that being said, you have to almost try to finesse for some more time if you're looking at that from Runner's perspective. They have to get onto the zone, Brody. They have to be able to stall out that clock and wait for the challenges to come to them. But luckily enough for Dizzy's Rascals, having the numbers advantage, they double up together, they come through the backside, they get the better of Runner in that situation as they win 3 rounds straight in the Berlin control. Continuing on with the woes that Nixa ACCL, at least for Season 3, because this is their last possible match, they're not in playoffs. They're gonna go out on a whimper. They have not won a single control.
Yeah, and this is actually the question I was about to posit to you, Andy. You know, we looked at the control now. This is the first time that you and I have got to see Nixa and ACCL on control in a very long time. Obviously, having come into this one, we're kind of like, you know, is there something wrong with their control right now? I mean, have we actually learned anything about where Nixa or ACCL need to go with control moving forward?
I mean, if there's one big thing that's alarming for me when I was watching a lot of Nixa ACCL play throughout the Berlin control is that they're egregiously setting one player into positions where they don't necessarily have to be at. Rather than trying to make plays happen around one control zone, they're always trying to play 3 steps ahead. There are always, you know, COD analysts out there, coaches that are a lot smarter than me that would end up saying that you want to play at least 1 step ahead when it comes down to control, specifically trying to set yourself up for exits as soon as the at least one zone does get fully captured, right? But you're almost want to be able to put yourself in a tradable position to be able to continue to formulate that flank push. Take Sean, for example, playing in that 1-for-1 position at the bottom side of a secret over by Fire. They're in a very weird position because there's nobody that was P5. There's nobody top third in mail. There's nobody even inside of the small room of office to be able to get that trade, even if the kill comes through from Sean. That maybe, yes, they can find a couple of exit kills from Fire, but what does that even mean? Because now you don't have that one player that's inside of the A zone itself, maybe to look at that B lane, maybe to look at that P5 push. And that was always just the biggest deficit that I felt like Nixa was trying to combat and from, was constantly being flanked, losing out on these timings that Dizzy's Rascals were constantly being able to exploit because those angles and avenues weren't being looked at because Nixa were trying to put players too far ahead of a position where they needed to be at.
Alrighty, well, that's going to be a map now 1 here for the Dizzy's Rascals side. They extend the series towards yet another hardpoint. We move over towards Tuscan for this next fair. Andy here looking, I mean, Dizzy's Rascals, they do, I still think here, have a path back in towards this best of 5, but I think we need to see both teams really tighten things up because the Gavutu, we saw a couple mistakes coming out of both rosters.
Yeah, no, we really did. I mean, I'm going to have nightmares just going back and watching that P5 to P1 push again. It kind of exclaims what I was just talking about with that Berlin control, just Nixa ACCL egregiously pushing into positions where they really have no business trying to push for rather than trying to play power positions for the objective at hand. And that's where things might be alarming, especially in a Tuscan hardpoint when you're trying to egregiously push for scrap time. That means that you're not going to have numbers, especially ahead of, like, say, the rotation from 2 to 3 or the ever so looked at rotation from 5 to 1 inside of a new set of hardpoints. You have to be very, very careful when you are talking scrap time and trying to go all in for a hold. That could be a money hill like P1, 3, or even 5 for that matter. If you egregiously try to push too many players in for scrap time, numbers might be very, very weak for Dizzy's Rascals to be able to come out on top of these rotational battles ahead of these P5, 3, and 1 money hills that can be on Tuscan hardpoint, depending on the set that we are looking at. That said, Dizzy's Rascals are 0-2 on Tuscan hardpoint as a whole. They have a 222 to 250 loss against Rocker Academy and a 153 to 250 loss against Team War. That doesn't necessarily mean by statistics alone that that would be better off if you are Nixa. They have played this map mode combination 3 times. They have lost it 3 times, losing a 125-point deficit to Rocker Academy, losing it by 42 points to Team War, and then losing to Invincibles 223 to 250. So obviously rehearsal might end up being there. It just comes down to certain nuances that have to be exemplified by this Nixa roster, especially ahead of that Toronto LAN that is at the beginning of the month of June, that they cannot aggress themselves into positions to where they can be easily cleaned up and losing rotations just from trying to play for too much scrap time.
Yeah, I was actually about to point that out, actually. That's what I kind of was looking at right now, just looking at the kind of the records for these two teams, seeing where they're at. And yeah, you're absolutely right to point out, of course, this is Rascals. Well, they are 0-2 in this one, and that would normally bode well for Nixa. They themselves are 0-3 coming into this one. So this will be a battle for the first victory on Tuscan Hardpoint. The one thing I will say is, looking at the sub pressure from both of these two teams, I'm expecting big things, specifically looking over towards the Nixa ACCL side. I think a lot of times in this series, they have been relying on the auto pressure, looking over at players like Runner and Johnny W. I think this is really a time for Sean and Snake here to come out and shine against Dizzy's Rascals roster. But even then, you're looking over towards the Dizzy's Rascals side, Dizzy and Henry have both been such potent players for Dizzy's Rascals that it is kind of one of those things where it's just like, who's going to win this SMG battle? And there's a lot of questions I think we're going to be asking around those things. Moving forward, I think for these guys at the moment, they've both got good team compositions, especially for Nixa again, that we should remind everybody, this team, we know for a fact due to the funding from Nixa and ACCL that these guys will be attending Toronto in early June. So this is going to preview for them a good bit of a learning experience, I think, here in Challengers Elite Season 3, even if they will be not moving forward in towards playoff. But in towards the hard point now we go, and it's a good start for Nixa as they're now going to draw the first at a time.
Yeah, Nixa starting off on the favorite side of the map. What we mean by that doesn't necessarily mean that they're starting on the P2 side, but you have an easier opportunity to be able to win these gunfights off the rip, whether it's looking through the middle of the map through top fire, or also by the tree head box to be able to get inside of you for a player. But the returning gunfights, at least from the pillar box, be suggestive that Dizzy's Rascals might be able to recontest this. One more player in the middle will be BB Connor, and they're actually going to do well to combine with Whalers. The AR lineup doing quite the work for Dizzy's Rascals to resurface themselves here on P1. Given that's only for just about 10 seconds or so, that is a big gunfight to be had for themselves, given that they do still hold a rotation ahead of 2.
Well, Dizzy's Rascals, they're going to be the ones to touch over towards P2 now. Sean may be the first player to do something about this. Of course, you do also have Johnny W looking to win a gunfight inside maps, and he will actually win here. Sean now blazing forward towards the hard point to try and take some of these players down, and he gets one. So Nixa might be able to soak up some time here, but the bigger problem is, of course, that Dizzy's Rascals, they should continue to spawn in the back line, and it's just so tough in these positions to try and break on through. Nixa going to continue to send players through. They need to be careful, though, because Henry now initiating a flank through radio. He's able to win a couple of gunfights, and really, if anything, at the moment, even though Dizzy's Rascals haven't got much time themselves, finally they'll walk in for the last 20 seconds. They've pretty much done a really good job of withstanding the pressure from Nixa or ACCL.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not walking away with all the time in the world. Nixa have actually done a good job at least contesting the hard point, and Johnny W actually sends themselves to be able to finesse for some scrap time. This is where I start to become a little bit worried, is finessing for scrap time. That's a lot of blind trust that players like Snake are going to be able to hold down the rotation going in towards 3. Runner also finds 2 on said rotation. It means that things might just be a little bit more weakened when you're looking at the setup here over by the rooftop side of things. Snake has the read, at least one player coming down the staircase from top fire. Should be a monumental hold when you're looking at the grander scheme of things. Dizzy's Rascals are really hesitant on trying to full flood out from these positions.
Runner towards his back line. He's been a problem all series long. We'll get 5 in a row there. Stop short of any streaks here for Nixa or ACCL. So that is at least a positive here for Dizzy's Rascals. But now they're looking at trying to find their way on through. And to be fair, a few gunfights will be going in their favor. But ultimately, at the moment, it is going to be Nixa who are having the final say. Dizzy's going to slide in towards the hard point, try and keep his head down, while the rest of the cover will be coming through from both fire and the alley. Runner towards the backline position once again is going to be taken down. And while all this has happened, Dizzy's just been sitting in there, soaking up some time for Dizzy's Rascals. So not a bad hardpoint, I think, ultimately speaking there from Dizzy's Rascals, despite not getting the spawns even once. They fight the hill from the front very well, and now, of course, they're looking to break on towards us the next rotation too. It is going to be Nixa or ACCL. The first team over here, Sean, towards this back tank area. We'll have a couple of players from Dizzy's Rascals to contend with. Dizzy and BB Connor. Sean just playing with them, toying with them around this back tank area. He's just keeping these guys at bay and wasting time while they soak up some time inside the hard point.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And it buys time for Snake to come back through to reinforce the back tank position. Now it's just one more player left alive. That's going to be Henry down by the church ramp. Sean's in a position to almost deal with them, and they will cut them down. A fantastic opening few seconds here for Nixa. The opening 30 seconds will be theirs in their bank. Now it's about dealing with the next hit that's coming through from top grass.
Will this one be more successful for Dizzy's Rascals? Well, they're going to push in through the back line as BB Connor will pick up 1 kill, but the answer, I think, ultimately is no, right? ACCL will be very happy with the way that hardpoint went. They got basically a full 60 without much contention whatsoever from Dizzy's Rascals and have put a very comfortable lead between themselves and that Dizzy's Rascals roster. Now, let's focus on the rotation for a second here. The Dizzy's Rascals team, they are the ones over there into maps. They will be the ones soaking up time first, but there is a very long flank coming through from Nixa ACCL, and it's Sean responsible for that. He draws the first blood versus BB Connor. Johnny W also over here now. The collapse is in. The gunfights are in too. Henry, the last remaining player, he gets 2 and does get taken down in the end, but that resistance might actually be enough here that Dizzy's Rascals might be able to fight their way back in.
Yeah, but they got to fly throughout the bottom side of well, right? I mean, Snake is going to be that player that needs to come reinforce his hill, but there's so many many nades. It's a Michael Bay film inside of P5 currently, and Rudder can only stay alive for so long. They'll finally be traded out. Snake through the bottom side of P5 took more bullets than I'm sure they wanted to. We'll finally get that final blow onto BB Connor. They'll be able to resurface themselves quite wonderfully with numbers. You still got Snake and Runner in here, and they're also able to deal with Whalers down low. But has turned into a very mixy first set of hard points, turns into the favor of Nixa ACCL, getting an abundance of time off of P4, dealing with the scrap that was Dizzy's Rascals, and then able to resurface themselves over by 5. But the rotation from 5 to 1, I talked about it ahead of the Tuscan hardpoint, is a big one. They're isolating themselves, are Nixa, and they have to be careful of this as well, because they can deal with the flank, sure, but it's still dealing with the players that are setting themselves over by the field.
Alrighty, well, Nixa ACCL in a great position here in this game. They're backing towards P1, and Dizzy's Rascals, they're going to push through the field side. Henry with a nice 2-piece there, one responsible with a nade, and, well, the kills are now coming through as Henry picks up 3. Dizzy's Rascals a brilliant break, an important one at that, as now they have the better side of the map. They have control of what would be scrap time as well. Nixa ACCL need to try and push in here. They need to make a decision as to what they're going to do, because Dizzy, he's going to come in for the trade there against Sean, gets 3 in a row. The amount of pressure right now that Dizzy's Rascals are applying, they're in a really good position to come blazing back in towards this game. They were down by quite the margin here, Andy.
Yeah, they sure were. 10 seconds still to fight over by P1, and Runner's going to be able to at least get 1 kill quickly traded out. Sean needs to get that trade. We'll soak up the back 8 seconds. And while all that was happening, you saw happening on screen that Dizzy's Rascals were able to read that Johnny W was trying to finesse for at least the rotational play in towards the back, so it will be Dizzy's Rascals able to get in for the initial time. They'll be over the 100-point mark. Henry takes down Sean, top church. That's a great kill to find for themselves, because it means that their flank will be secure for the time being, but the hit from the front is still yet to manifest.
Here we go. Nixa, they broke it last time around. Can they do it again here? Whalers, he's going to hold a lot stronger this time. Henry inside radio as well. Dizzy's Rascals, they are not breaking as easily. They want this back 40 seconds. Can they get it done? Snake and Sean able to combine for 2, though. In the pressure comes from the back line. Sean flies on through for number 3. Given number 4, PB Connor will instead fall the runner. But the bottom line is that Nixa ACCL have found their way in for an important 25 seconds of time. Dizzy's Rascals might give this maybe one more look in with some kills in their favor. Runner still looking to try and hold on this one as he pushes a little bit of pressure towards that patio side. Just Whalers now to deal with as Snake and Sean again combined for 2, but let's focus in on the rotation here. Snake has a couple of crucial gunfights to win. I think just flies on out and doesn't expect them to be there. His timings are a little bit off. Will get shut down. So Dizzy's Rascals here in for their rotation. They're going to be in control of the hard point. But once again, look at who's coming to spoil the party. It's Johnny W. It's the rest of the Nixa ACCL roster, and Johnny W has got past. It's 007 looking to cause some serious havoc. He's got the 1 kill, looking for the second. Cannot find it, so Dizzy's Rascals hold.
Yeah, and it was a great recognition coming from Dizzy's Rascals while Johnny W is trying to commit towards the play inside of Wine. Still trying to at least enforce spawns down by the rooftops. Dizzy's Rascals were able to recognize that. They send players through the fire alley. They're able to deal with it. They flip the spawns in their favor. This is while they are also dealing with the players trying to continuously bombard this P3 hardpoint as well. This has turned into a fantastic hold for Dizzy's Rascals throughout on P3. And if you're Nixa, you just gotta chalk it. 12 seconds will be chalked here. It'll get Dizzy's Rascals just within about 20 points or so to Nixa's current lead. But P4 was not exactly a note that you would write home about for Dizzy's Rascals on the first set of hard points. Nixa were able to get a monumental hold here with about 40 seconds going over towards P1. They don't have the strongest setup. They're all playing with inside the hard point itself, but that is so much easier said than done that Dizzy's Rascals need to pick the right corners to deal with and to find these kills to be able to break on in.
And there it is. The first wave of kills will be coming through from Dizzy's Rascals. So not quite as solid this time around from Nixa ACCL, but just as quickly as we say that, they managed to break on back with another wave of gunfights. Dizzy's Rascals now going to be spawning out across the map here. They've still got to get this 1 kit because Nixa ACCL, they are approaching that 250-point mark that would give them the victory here in this game and a better record overall at the end of Challengers Elite Season 3. The gunfights still in favor of Nixa ACCL. They are very happy with the situation as it currently stands because the last 20 seconds or so should theoretically go their way. As I say that, though, BB Connor and Henry able to pick up a couple of gunfights. That almost certainly helped them here as they do want to look in towards the scrap time. And if anything, to be honest, just apply some pressure so the Nixa ACCL can't rotate effectively.
Yeah, and especially with knowing that Whalers is trying to finesse for some scrap time, you know that they're not going to rotate with their full force, right? Snake will come in, will take Whalers down. They spawn all the way inside of the Fountain Hardpoint, so now numbers might not be here substantially for Dizzy's Rascals. Again, nades will be a bountiful. Nobody is watching the P5 bottom push. Sean will exploit it. Will find 1 kill that'll couple along nicely with a long with all these kills that are coming through the patio side. Just Henry was able to find a heroic double kill. That doesn't mean that numbers will sway in any one player's decision. Big 1v1s across the board. This is Rascals just barely holding on.
This is Rascals. They do fight back in and for another important 25 seconds. Nixa ACCL will send Sean towards that hardpoint scrap time. I think they're sending a couple more players from radio side as well. So Nixa ACCL, they do definitely want this. They can't technically finish the game here, but they can take an important amount of time away from Dizzy's Rascals with this push, but it will not work. Just the one player now, Johnny W, who is currently uncontested. Finally, BB Gunner will come in from the door side to take him down. So that last 10 seconds will go Dizzy's Rascals' way. But Nixa ACCL now, they are just 22 points away from victory. They're in control of the rotation, but Dizzy's Rascals, they have one secret weapon up their sleeve. It's Whalers, who's making a long flank happen, but it's a very long one. He's given up quite a lot of time away, and in doing so now, the rest of the team will spawn up on him. Whalers needs to be effective. The teammates coming out from Henry and BB Connor, they pick up 3, but Runner in for a spoil for a moment. They do remove Nixa ACCL from the hardpoint.
There's still enough time for Dizzy's Rascals to be able to close that out, which inherently means Nixa ACCL just need one more break to be able to do it, and they have to be able to try to formulate this one break. Contested time would still be good. They're trying to get this push happening through the middle of the map. They already did with one top church, and now that means that Sean's flank means absolutely nothing. Dizzy's Rascals read it wonderfully.
And now it's one-dimensional, isn't it, from Nixa ACCL? Finally, they can push players through the middle of the map. Henry is there, though. He's able to pick up the first gunfight, looking for some more. It's Johnny W and Sean trying to find their way on through. Now just Sean, the latter of those two players, and BB Connor gets 2 huge gunfights. Can Runner find his way towards the hard point? He can. He doesn't have any support, though. It's Snake who needs to play his life momentarily. It's a contestation coming through. Snake picks up 2, and Dizzy's Rascals here. They do not get the time necessary over towards the next hard point. We go. Nixa ACCL, they are there. Can anybody come through? The pre-fire from Sean is enough. They hit the 250 point mark, and Nixa ACCL are going to be the ones finishing Season 3 with a victory.
Oh, they get by on the skin of their teeth there at the very end. They had to get a heroic contest coming all the way through, losing the one player top church. Meant that for Dizzy's Rascals, they just have to watch the flank. They deal with Sean, and the one-dimensional push did not amount to much of anything at all. Dizzy's Rascals almost came back with about a 30-point deficit there on P1 itself. I mean, they did, quite frankly, climb back. They actually flipped the lead for just a small moment, but the problems still arise coming through that Dizzy's Rascals not only had to be able to get a substantial amount of time off of P1, they also somehow had to try to formulate a push coming through inside a church to be able to aggress their way inside of the P2 rotation. It is a lot, and I mean a lot of trust for Nixa ACCL to send 2 players to be able to get the contest. It comes through to extend the hard point to go over towards P2, where they knew they had those close column spawns, that it just came down to full-on 4-player flooding out from the church ramp, where you have a very nice head glitch over by the column hardpoint itself. You just got to find one kill. Trust that your AR over towards the back truck is able to find the next. Nixa ACCL get by the skin of their teeth to be able to win out that hardpoint. I mean, they, to be completely candid here, Brody, should not have allowed that to get as close as it possibly did. Through a multitude of hardpoints, Nixa ACCL were putting themselves in positions where they were constantly battling for 20 seconds. And when they had about a 40 to 30 point lead or so, you would inherently win out the hardpoint just by winning 20, 25 seconds here or there on the hardpoint. But Dizzy's Rascals, as resilient as they truly are to their team name, continue to battle throughout all of those different instances. P5, P4 were big moments of time. P3 contests also there as well. We're slowly diminishing that lead that Nixa ACCL held over their heads. It's just a moment's too far gone that it came down to heroics that needed to come all the way through. Nixa ACCL, again, winning that hard point just by a whopping 2 points.
What a close hard point to close things out. And what a note to close things out on with Challengers Elite Season 3 round robin, right? Just Challengers Elite Season 3 for both of these teams. Such an incredible hard point. We can take a look at the stat lines here, though. For Nixa ACCL, players important once again. We were talking about kind of the sub-pressure here for Sean and Snake, and I think they definitely stepped up to the plate. There were moments where both of them, I think, played very well against Dizzy's Rascals roster. I think, for example, we take a look at Sean with the plays that he was making over towards the back line there alongside Snake to make sure that players for Dizzy's Rascals did not make their way in towards the back of the church hard point. Nixa ACCL, though, ultimately, it comes down to the ARs once again, doesn't it? Runner and Johnny W both performing very well. And I think that is a positive that these guys should be taking in towards the Toronto Open. that's ultimately what this entire conversation around this matchup is going to be, right? It's like, what positives do Nixa ACCL take in towards the Toronto Open? You know, what do they need to improve on? And I think we, and probably they, have learned a lot from this series.
Oh, absolutely. They probably learned a lot from Season 3 as a whole. It just needs to be an immediate turnaround because the Toronto Open is in a few weeks, so you would probably assume not only the cups that are going to be coming through on the weekends in between now and the Toronto Open, but also whatever scrims are able to manifest for themselves as well to really go back and study this VOD, whatever coaching staff or the players just communicating for themselves to be able to really try to get down to the grind to understand where it is necessary to aggressively push for these points of interest. Specifically in the control, needs to be an immediate turnaround for me personally, and when in these crucial moments for the hardpoint as well. I would have to take my socks off to fully count the amount of times that I've seen Nixa ACCL egregiously aggress towards positions to be able to put themselves in a position, because yeah, if they win those gunfights, they finesse for that scrap time back 10-15 seconds, it would build their lead so much further. But on a map like Gavutu or Tuscan, where they finesse or try to force out their hand for scrap time and they lose numbers on the rotation, they have given so many teams too many opportunities throughout the entirety of Season 3 to be able to come back from a deficit and sometimes being able to win the hardpoint. It doesn't work out here for Dizzy's Rascals, but teams better than these two across all of Season 3 have been able to exploit that one fact.
Yeah, and let's I think momentarily here we've spoken a little about Nixa ACCL as we actually look over the standings here. I think to show you guys how everything kind of looks. I think the other match is not completed yet. No, it's not, between Rocker Academy and AIM Esports. That is going on right now at youtube.com/COD challenges. So go check that out if you want to watch some more Call of Duty. It should be an incredible match because I believe they were 1-1. Last time I checked. Yeah, so it's now 2-1 up to Rocker Academy in that best of 5, of course, and there's a whole grudge match situation with that going on because obviously Journey and Sukri swap teams. So that's the only match that we're waiting on now, but to kind of break down the standings for you guys at home and really what Nixa ACCL and Dizzy's Rascals meant overall to those standings. Nixa's victory against Dizzy's Rascals puts them in 7th place instead of 8th place. Of course, it also prevents Selaio Signs from falling further down the ladder as well because they would have lost a head-to-head to Dizzy's Rascals. So they are going to hold on to 6th place. And of course, Team Invincibles, they finish in 5th place, falling out 4 and 3. That doesn't matter anymore, regardless of what happens if Rocker Academy go 4 and 3. They have the head-to-head versus Invincibles. So that is effectively more or less what our final standings look like. 1st through 4th could change. Before we sign off here, though, Andy, I do want to take a moment here to talk about our two teams. I want to start the conversations very briefly with Dizzy's Rascals. The storyline for this team coming into Season 3 after the 4th place finish that they got in Season number 2, they made the change, bringing in Dizzy instead of Abuser. I think we have to ask the question, was that the right change? Let's just be clear. I am not in any way doubting the performance, I think, of Dizzy, because I think he's done himself really well this season for a debut season in Challengers Elite. But ultimately, you have to ask the question, was it the right move to make?
Well, I mean, clearly the players were deciding on that factor, whether or not they wanted to play with Abuser or Abuser was looking for other virtues, right. Which I can tell you through the grapevine, it seems that Abuser is going to find themselves on quite an impressive team that is currently being formulated through a multitude of channels. But it's going to be interesting because, again, us as casters and analysts, hindsight is 2020, that obviously that the team was able to produce more when they were playing with Abuser in previous seasons of the Elite. But I think you got to give this team some time, especially when you're looking at Dizzy. This is their first Challenger season as a whole. Very young as it may end up being, and coming from the EU OLT series, is that what you're mostly going to be seeing is that Dizzy can continue to form into their own, find themselves that team presence, understand what it feels like to go up against this top EU amateur scene as a whole, and just come back stronger than ever, whether it's for Season 4 qualifiers, if this 4-player team does end up sticking together. Because they obviously showed a lot of bright spots throughout their entirety of the season. It just needs to be polished up to be able to combat it against your top 4 teams.
Yep, indeed it does. And then, of course, for Nixa ACCL now, as we said, I think this is a really positive thing moving forward to the Toronto Open. They do have stuff to work on. Of course, we've already gone over this. And, of course, they've got the positives to work off as well. I think so far this season, yes. For Sean and Snake, I would say this is a lot better regard things than what they had with Flux Esports in Season 1. That's the one positive that you take away for those guys. And I think for Runner and Johnny W, you've made your Challengers Elite debut now. And now it's about maybe, of course, requalifying for Season 4, because they're going to have to do that. and then, of course, to see what these guys are going to be able to do for the Toronto Open. So those are the big things for Nixa ACCL, but that's going to do it for today, Andy. You know, we've been here casting a couple of extra matches here for European challenges, but we are not done. I mean, you and I are done at the very least, but Clutch are not done bringing you guys challenges, elite coverage, of course. North America will resume at 6:30 Eastern. That's 12:30, I believe, in our 11:30 in British time for everybody here in the UK. So if you guys want to watch some more Call of Duty, don't worry about it. We've still got that coming for you guys later on, even if the standings are pretty much solidified for the top 4 over there in that region. But Annie, any final words to close things out on?
Just excited to get into playoffs. I mean, we might be done here, but that doesn't mean that next week, as far as playoffs are concerned, are anything shy of surprises, to say the least. Although the 4 teams have been solidified, it's going to be interesting, right? Because, I mean, there's still a chance. I mean, El Clasico is happening right now on the main broadcast, but Timor are I guess, a shade of their former selves when you're thinking about the grander scheme of things. They do not go undefeated. They're not convincingly beating these teams. Ultra Academy EU are also showcasing their talents and abilities to be able to, I guess, come into their own, able to show stark differences in between weeks 1 and now. Who knows what more practice is going to look like under that team's belt to be able to make a deep run. They just came off a cup number 10. As far as the victory is concerned, who's to say that they can't add season 3 under their belt as well?
Well, we've got a lot of questions, and when it comes to playoffs, I suppose we'll have our answers, but I would argue this is the best the season has looked, the best the European region has looked, moving forward to the top 4 in towards playoffs. It is going to be a stacked one, Andy. I think you and I both have zero idea how it is going to go. It's going to be awesome, of course. We should probably say again, if you want to watch the conclusion of Amy Sports versus Rocker Academy, it's going down right now at youtube.com/COD Challenges. Make sure to subscribe to that channel if you are not already. But for the European region here by Clutch, we are done. We're back with North America later on.